Hey, Prime members, you can listen to Crime and Sports early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Download the app today.
In the depths of an Atlanta forest, a clash between activists and authorities ends in tragedy. I'm Matthew Scher, and on my new podcast, We Came to the Forest, we expose the hidden truths behind a shootout that left one activist dead and countless lives forever changed. Binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest ad-free on Wondery Plus.
Welcome to Crime and Sports.
Yay!
Yay, indeed, Jimmy. Yay, indeed. My name is James Pietragallo. I'm here with my co-host.
I'm Jimmie Whisman.
Thank you, folks, so much for joining us on another edition of Crime and Sports. Obviously, a crazy one as usual, and we're coming to the end of it. So they're going to be next couple. The last two are going to be insane. I'll tell you right now what the last episode is. It's Lawrence Taylor. So
you betcha.
You know it's going to be Lawrence Taylor, which will be extra painful for me because he was, as a child, my favorite athlete. So, but this week, holy shit, it's more football and it's a lot of fun. Let's just say that it's not fun. It's a couple of asshole brothers, and one of them's way worse than the other. We'll get into it here. But before we get into that, just want to say, shutupandgivememurder.com is the site for all your merchandise and your tickets for 2023 Small Town Murder Live Tour. We are jacked for that. We cannot wait. Hope you're just as excited. Tickets are on sale right now. First two up are February 10th is Cleveland. February 11th is St. Louis. And those tickets are going excessively fast. Faster than we thought. So
boy,
definitely,
I can't thank you enough. Yes,
absolutely.
It's amazing.
If you want to go to those shows, get your tickets right now because they are going quickly, without a doubt. Patreon.com/crime and sports is where you get all the bonus stuff, and it's where Crime and Sports will live forever. Well, I don't know about forever, but for a long time anyway, at least a few years. For anybody $5 or above, you get access to not only the whole back catalog of like 150 bonus episodes that you haven't heard, but on top of that, you're going to get 2 new episodes every other week. You're going to get 1 Crime and Sports, 1 Small Town Murder. You get access to it all. And this week is no different. For Crime and Sports, we're going to hear crazy ABA stories. That is the American Basketball Association from the 60s to the 70s. And we talked about Reggie Harding, who was briefly in the ABA, and the crazy story about him with the gun in the hotel room and, putting the gun to his teammate's head and all this stuff. That's just a tip of the ABA iceberg as far as crazy stories go. So we're going to get into some nutty shit from there. And then for Small Town Murder, something very fun and near and dear to our hearts because we think it's such bullshit, and that is going to be blaming video games for murders. We talked about music and books and culture being blamed, and the video game thing is so big it has to be specific on its own. We'll talk about that. Patreon.com/crime and sports, and you get a shout out at the end of the show. Jimmie will slaughter your name while trying to get it proper every time. He will do that. Yeah. So without further ado, let us get into this very quickly.
Let's do that.
Let's do it because it's 2 people, really. Okay. Well, one we're really going to concentrate on, and the other it's more sad because it's just it's all himself, whereas one of them he likes to inflict his stupidity on others. So you know what I mean? Obviously, we're going to side with we're going to like the one better who just hurts himself. So let's talk about it. First of all, Christian Peter. Remember Christian Peter, NFL?
No.
Defensive lineman, linebacker, played for the Giants, Bears, Colts. Christian Peter, and then his brother Jason Peter as well, number 1 draft pick, defensive player as well. Don't remember these guys? Wow, that's crazy. They played in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Holy shit!
Right in your wheelhouse too, right in your memory wheelhouse for sports like that.
Jason Peter.
Jason
was he
Peter,
at?
Christian
Carolina?
Peter. No, Jason Peter did play for Carolina. Yes,
There you go. Yeah, I can see it now.
The alumni that are going to be involved in this, teammates of these guys, it's like
Jesus,
it's like the first year of Crime and Sports. It's amazing. it's everybody.
Yeah,
it's like
we're
all
episode
getting
1
together.
right there.
You know how like in a screenplay you want to tie it up at the end with something from the beginning. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing. It's awesome. So,
I remember Jason now, but I don't remember Christian at all.
Christian was a much better player and a bigger star in the league, actually. Yeah, he was a.
Why do I remember the dipshit?
Because Jason was a number 1 draft pick.
That's why.
Not number 1 overall, but a first-round draft pick. Whereas Christian fell in the draft because of his college fuckery.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. Christian Peter, born October 5th, 1972, and Jason Peter, born September 13th, 1974. So not even, just 2 years apart.
Close in age.
And
Just beat each other up their whole lives.
Oh, they do too. Absolutely. Two humongous guys that are on steroids and everything else. They're going to beat the shit out of each other a lot.
It's a real Dumb and Dumber, Tweedledee and Tweedledum whacking each other around.
If you're that mother, there's no glass in that house at all. Nothing. Everything is made of solid structures. There's a lot of Tupperware, a lot of very solid like oak tables that are hard to go through.
We can afford good dishes, but you will eat out of Cool Whip bowls because you will break my good shit.
They have like a set of dishes like in storage somewhere, in an off-site storage unit to keep them safe.
In a pod somewhere.
Just for Thanksgiving, you know what I mean? Maybe Christmas, but that's all. So these two, they're born in Locust, New Jersey. So they're Jersey guys, these two here. Yeah. Their parents, Hubert and Mary Peter. Hubert owns a fancy restaurant in New Jersey.
Really?
Like an upscale restaurant called, I think it's French, called Fromagerie, which is like, it's
Sounds
the
French,
cheese place, basically. Yeah. This place is where all the cheese is. And Mary herself is a homemaker, but she's like a gourmet cook also. That's how they got together. So that's the family.
And Locust is a nice place, isn't it? It's a suburb.
They do well.
A good place.
No, they do well. I mean, they own a fancy restaurant that does very well for itself. So, I mean, they come up doing just fine. It's a nice household. And it's odd that a restaurateur, especially someone who specializes in like fine French cuisine,
right, and
a gourmet cook would produce 2 football playing meatheads. That's the weirdest fucking. Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I guess it kind of goes along with it. You either meander with them in the fancy menagerie, or you fucking go the opposite way, right, and become a pirate.
I think so, but I also at the same time I think New Jersey is strong. I think it's no matter who your parents are, it's very hard to resist the general New Jersey that's going to be around you 24 hours a day, and you're going to kind of turn into Pauly D at some point. Whether you like it or not, I believe.
That area it seems so cool, though, I guess. You know what I mean?
And back then, too, in the 70s and 80s, that is just prime time Jersey meathead type behavior kind of a place. So, oh, man, coming up. Yikes. His dad's from Germany, actually.
Is that right?
Yeah, his dad came in 1962 from Germany, Hubert. And, they opened the restaurant in Rumson, New Jersey, and it's rated New Jersey Magazine for several years at that point, had rated it the state's finest French restaurant. So it was called by New Jersey Magazine the best French restaurant in New Jersey.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so I mean, good restaurant here.
A German guy with some French culinary. That's
Well, back then, if you were a chef, you were serious about being a chef, like you wanted to be a fine.
France was it, huh?
You'd have to train in France. That's all there was to it. You trained under that was just the way every big chef from back then, they all went to France to train for a while. Yeah, that had to be on your resume. That was that type of thing. But yeah, Hubert showed up with barely any money and started some stuff, became a businessman, got a restaurant, built it up off the ground. It's a nice story, it's a good deal. Hubert always encouraged the kids to participate in sports as they were growing up. Yeah. And he said, quote, the word in the house was to keep them busy with sports to keep them off the streets. So, well,
that's a nice myth that is told to everybody, really. Keeping them too busy with one thing will keep their mind out of another. But
it works, though. How often have we dealt with athletes where, while sports are going on, totally fine. Yeah, the day the off season's here, when structure's gone, they are running amok everywhere. Like some guys need structure, and if you tire them out and give them structure,
I say myth because eventually sports ends.
That's the problem.
Nothing's 24 hours, 365.
That's the problem.
So
you have to hope.
It's certainly a myth.
You have to hope by their mid-30s it's burnt out of them a little bit. The head injuries, the knee injuries. They're just like, Jesus, I'm too tired.
The idea is you get them into this structured atmosphere, and they do that so much that even in the off time, they still want to be structured and regimented. But it's not.
It's not.
They want a vacation from that shit, and that creates fuckery.
They need it, but I could get it if you have two huge, energetic fucking kids. You need to
focus that energy.
You got to get it somewhere, or else they're going to go out. And especially these two, they're going to go out and they're going to get arrested for beating up each other in the streets, not even other people. So you got to get them.
So close in age, you're releasing a fucking tag team on the world.
That's a good point too. Yeah, good. Fuck, imagine getting involved with one of them, and you're like, oh, here comes another huge monster who looks just like him. Holy shit!
God damn it!
164, 163. They're both.
Oh my god!
They both turn out to be like 290-pound fucking behemoths. Aggressive defensive football players. That's scary.
Scary men. Yeah.
Scary men. So in the spring and fall, they would play soccer, and in the summer they were both consistently ranked among the top youth swimmers in New Jersey.
Isn't
that weird? Yeah, they're both really big swimmers, and their little sister turns out to be a really good swimmer as well. Yeah. So there's swimming in the genes
Tall
here.
People swim great, dude.
We're good for that.
It makes sense because I mean you got more to move.
Well, you can move your torso too in a way that you can propel you through it.
But you're also fucking bigger, so you can move more water.
They're also really good athletes. This family, I mean, regardless of height, they're just good athletes. They played hockey in the winter. Also, they were big hockey guys. No one played football till 1989.
What is that? 16, 17 years old?
Yeah, that's
wow.
That's crazy. He was a junior in high school, Christian, before he played football.
Fascinating.
Which is wild. Coaches at the school he was playing for, or going to, Middletown South.
Yeah.
He's this giant, humongous guy. And they were like, do you want to try out for football? Like, if you have any desire to hit things, you're going to be a huge success.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it. Like, you don't have to play quarterback. We don't have to teach you the playbook. We can put you here and go tackle people, and you'll be fine. So he ended up being an all-state player after that. All-state after being, told to try out here. They did fight a lot, by the way, especially they were on the same teams sometimes, the Peter brothers. In hockey at one point, when they played hockey, Christian was the goon.
Okay.
He's the fighter. He liked to fight and throw people around and shit like that. Jason was the top scorer and the finesse player.
Oh.
Now, if you know anything about hockey, and I'm not a hockey expert, but the little I do know about hockey is, and especially back then, they've tried to change the game now, but you don't have a finesse player have any success unless you have a goon that protects him, because they'll just fuck that guy up unless somebody will come and cross check you for doing that.
Right.
And
they have the added bonus of this guy's got a soft spot for the guy that's the finesse player because we're fucking brothers.
That too. Yeah. So
I'm the guy that punches people. He's the guy that scores. If you hit him, I have extra incentive to knock the piss out of you.
Absolutely.
It's my brother.
But over time, all the great scorers have had their goons. It's just how it works. Gretzky always had a goon follow. Wherever he went somewhere, he's like, you got to get me McSorley or this one or somebody because, someone's got to protect me. So
somebody's got to pay for hitting me.
Yeah, they're going to be mad at me. I'm going to score a shitload. They're going to be real mad at me. Someone's going to
wait till I get my first hat trick out here.
It's going to be crazy. So I guess one day after practice, Jason made a crack that he was like a better player than Christian.
Uh-oh.
And so this pissed Christian off. When they got home, they got out of the car, and Christian just threw all of his gear down and started fucking beating the shit out of Jason in the driveway for it. But he waited till they got home, which is disturbing a little bit.
Right.
It didn't cool down. Christian said, I gave it to him good that day. He wasn't respecting his elders, so I had to take matters into my own hands.
It's 2 years. It's not that big of a deal.
I think he's being sarcastic here, but still, it's a funny statement. And but nobody was closer to them than each other, but they would also fight because you're going to fight when you have people less than 2 years apart. So football ended up being a natural. Jason's the taller one. He's the one who's 6'4", but they're both 285, 290 pounds
Oh, there's nothing worse than your little brother calling you little guy.
Giant person. Their younger brother, Damien, was bigger than both of them. Younger brother, Damien, is 6'8", 290-pound college football phenom who got a full ride to Notre Dame. And the summer before he left for Notre Dame, he broke his neck in a diving accident. He dove into a pool and hit the incline.
Oh no!
He didn't get all the way into the deep end. He was where the incline was happening on the pool. He hit his neck, broke his neck. They said he would never walk again.
Oh my God!
He started walking within a month. And then he actually was still trying to play football. A year later, he was trying to make a comeback in football, which is crazy. Yeah. But Notre Dame let him keep his scholarship, which is actually a decent thing on their part. But, yeah, that's crazy. So, he was the biggest one of all, and everybody was waiting for him. Yeah. He was the beast. And, that's really fucking sad, too. Jesus Christ, he lost 50 pounds. Whenever athletes break their necks, by the way, they're always like, they're never going to walk again. And then they're walking around in 3 months because it's like a normal person wouldn't walk again. Yeah. But the top 0.001% of genetics mixed with an insane muscle structure and everything else, they're going to be walking again. They're going to do way better than your average person, probably.
That guy from the Jets that broke his neck, it was like a big fucking deal that he never walked in. Guy ended up he was driving, for Christ's sake. That's what killed him.
I remember Magnum TA, the wrestler, broke his neck. He'll never walk again. You'll see him on fucking shows doing interviews and shit. He's doing fine. He was walking by the next year. He was doing commentary for wrestling. Like, why? He had a neck that was, he had a fucking 22-inch neck or something. So, it's not going to, you can break
it's the electrician that falls off a ladder that never walks again.
That's the guy.
He doesn't have the skeletal structure like these guys do.
And his body's not used to snapping back into shape and working and all that shit. It's a fucking mess. It's
those blue collar idiots that fall, and then that's the end of our life.
If I fall down, I'm dying. That's the thing. If I break my neck, I'm just going to deteriorate into nothing because my body's not used to snapping back after being hit by a defensive lineman.
My neck's barely hanging on as it is right now.
My whole body will be atrophy in 3 days. That's it. Done. Done.
A firm pat down by TSA is going to ruin me.
I'm going to feel that later. So Hubert is 6 foot tall, and Mary is 5'9", the mother. So neither of them are giant people, but 5'9" is tall for a woman back then especially. But either way, they're huge. One time when they were toddlers, they snuck out of the yard and began running around outside. Jason slipped and fell into a stream behind their house, and Christian laid on his stomach and grabbed a hold of his arm and held him from being swept away in the stream. His legs were going. They were little, I guess. Like we're talking like 2 and 4 or some shit.
Real Milo and Otis, right?
Pretty much. And Christian held onto his arm until Mom came. And so Jason says that Christian saved his life. And he's very grateful for that always.
And now we never fight again.
And no. This was when they were 2. This is what started the rivalry. How dare that motherfucker save my life?
How dare he make me save his life?
I will kill him saving my life. Now I got to be indebted to this bitch forever? Fuck him. So their mom said he did rescue him because that water would have been over Jason's head. So, there you go. So they would fight a lot. Like we said, they would fight. There was at some point during the day, there was a fight always when they were kids.
Every day.
Yeah, they'd be getting along, but at some point there was some kind of fight. Jason said we hated each other in high school. It was just the older brother, younger brother syndrome. He didn't want me hanging around, but like every little kid, I wanted to hang out with my older brother. So that makes sense, I suppose. These two, Jesus Christ. By the way, we were just talking about it before, just to get off the Peters for 1 second here. Before we came on, I didn't say get off on them or get off to them. I just said to get off of them.
We've been on them.
Well, that means we had mounted them at one point. So now,
on them.
We're going to dismount at this moment from the Peters. How's that? Is that better? Dismounting? No. It's a lot worse, isn't it?
It is.
I think it is. So that Casey Anthony documentary is the most. We both watched it, and it's crazy, T. I've never yelled at the screen that much in my life. We're talking watching sporting events.
Yeah.
You name it. I've never yelled at the TV because you killed your kid, you fucking twat, more times in my life than during that fucking show.
Why are you so mad? Stop showing us your teeth.
Oh,
what
my God.
What are you, a chimpanzee? Stop it.
Dude, and not only that, you know what struck me, actually? This just hit me now, but you know what struck me the most out of this entire documentary?
What is it?
Never mind a dead baby and the accusations against her dad and all the crazy other stuff that's going on. In the very, very, very beginning of the documentary, when they're just showing her, like, getting settled into this rental house because, you know, she's got to stage her whole life. She can't show how she actually lives.
She's got to pretend for a little bit for us.
I don't want you to see how little fucking pictures of Kaylee I have around in my house.
Right. I pulled this shit out of storage.
She said that I'm here because, quote, I have a roommate and I got to respect their privacy. Someone lives with Casey Anthony.
And she's got more respect for that person than her own baby.
Right? Dude, Casey has to pay more, right, just for being Casey Anthony? Like, if I share with you, it's 60-40. I'm sorry. You're paying more of the rent just because.
Who is that person?
They're out, and they're like, people are like, we'll go back to your place. They're like, actually, let's not go back to I have a roommate, and that's okay. They can hang out with us.
Oh, no.
I don't think you're going to want that. It's, I mean, who's your roommate? OJ?
You know.
Kind of worse. Kind of just as bad. Just as bad, yeah.
Imagine, how did she find that person?
Like,
is that a Craigslist or a apartmentfinders.com? It's like,
imagine showing up, just someone looking for a roommate. Are you the person that's, holy shit, you're Casey Anthony? Oh my God, it's Casey Anthony.
Well, far is my life.
How many people showed up, took one look at her, went, and then ran out the door before one just walked in and was like, hi, I had a head injury 3 years ago and remember nothing. I hit my head. Really, it was a diving accident. I hit the incline. I can't remember a fucking thing. I am 3 years ago. It's like I'm like a fly. I have no.
Fascinating too. I'm sterile and can't have children. That's a good thing.
It's really weird. Jesus,
you're gonna
Christ.
love this then.
You know what I love? Memories I don't have. You know what I hate? Toddlers. And then
we're gonna get along great.
Casey's like, when can you move in? When can you have your stuff here?
We're gonna get along. Famous. We're gonna re-up the lease.
Oh God! 1 year. Let's do a 2 year. Fuck it. This is gonna work out.
I've been having a bitch of a time finding roommates.
It's super weird.
Believe it.
She's got to have somebody else like interview the person.
That's amazing too. Is that she's making and doing so terribly that she needs a roommate, and she, you know what I mean?
That's what I thought too.
Everybody knows who she is, and Well,
she works for the investigators, for her attorneys, so I mean, she can't.
Clearly, she's not making great money.
She can't just go work at Target because people will burn that Target to the ground if she's in there. They'll be like, "Everybody out! Burn the witch!" People will be. She can't. I'm not saying you. I am not advocating fucking vigilante justice against cases. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying there are people out there that would do it. Yeah, I mean that's in a non just random Florida somebody angry, so they burned a Target down accidentally while trying to make meth in the electronics section. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a directed actual attack. I fear. So she has to stay out of sight.
As soon as her lawyer said to keep her safe, I moved to the Panhandle. I was like, "You did what?
Yeah. No.
The worst place?
No,
why
not
would you
there.
do that?
Not
you
there.
Out of your fucking mind?
Oh no, it's going to get worse.
Have you read any statistics? It's always the bad part.
Listen to Small Town Murder, one episode, just one episode. Just listen to it. It's not good. So.
No.
Let's come back on the Peters now. Let's remount the Peter brothers again here. So Christian Peter, the older one here, he went to Middletown High School South, where he plays 1 year of football as a junior and does very well. The team went undefeated and won the state title in 1990.
Wow.
Yeah. He ends up he fails a junior year here somewhere because he goes to a school. He starts out at Middletown, then he goes to New Hampshire and goes to some like private academy there, some private school or whatever.
Football academy or just like some fuck up academy?
No, it's a college prep, which is a football factory.
Yeah.
So then he ended up back at Middletown, and it made him lose a year of eligibility for his senior year. Junior year, by the way, the team went undefeated, won the state title. He's a big part of that, like I said. So Grace, that's Grace, junior year.
Oh, fuck, damn it.
We're going to say. He earned all state honors as a junior, and it was really his only season of organized football because he's ruled ineligible as a senior because of his age.
Oh.
So because he's over the age of 18, some states have rules there.
You can't have adults beating the fuck out of children.
If you're 19, you can't play anymore or whatever. That's what happened to Bo Jackson, too, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
In high school, Bo Jackson aged out of being able to play, if I'm not mistaken about that.
Oh, that's shitty.
I'm pretty sure that happened. Maybe in football it's possible. Not positive, though. I can't remember. So he's ruled ineligible, though, and he is required to repeat a grade as well. He's mildly dyslexic and has ADD like a motherfucker as well, Christian. So he's got some issues in school here. But based on 1 year of his he doesn't even play his senior year. But he is such a beast in his junior year. He's allowed to play one final scrimmage his senior year with another, not a real game, but a scrimmage against another school. That's
scouts watching.
No, not at all.
No?
That scrimmage got taped. Okay.
Oh.
Videotaped. And that's how people find him, because otherwise he hasn't even played this season and no one has any film on him or anything like that. So,
and that's probably I'd say common, do you think, maybe? If
No. Now it's more common. Back then it's less,
because
because now everything's on video. Every shit you take's on video now. But back then, video was rare. I mean, someone had to have a camera and a tape and put it in, and then put that in the fucking mail and send it. It was
And if I'm a scout, I'm praying for one of those to show up because nobody's looking at this guy, and that's great for us.
Absolutely. So their opening game of the season, he found out he wasn't eligible to play 2 hours before the team's opening game of the season.
Oh, he's dressed and everything.
Which was tough. He had a 5-month court battle with the New Jersey State Interscholastic Athletic Association, and they told him he couldn't play, declared ineligible for violating a rule which prohibits interscholastic participation after a player has gone through 8 semesters in high school, so 4 years.
Got it.
So you can't repeat a year. You can't have like a 5th year. So he said he tried to fight it, saying it was a learning disability that got him held back. So they shouldn't punish him.
You don't get it. I have a problem.
I have a problem. Yeah, but no, he's not dumb. He's not dumb at all, too. That's the other thing. No, he's just he's a fucking idiot, but he's not dumb. He's not dumb. He's an idiot in the way he acts, but kids getting held back for having a problem like that is perfectly understandable for me. Like I've seen kids that just can't hold it together in the 3rd grade because they're too hyper. They get held back, and now he's found football after his junior year or during his junior year, and now they're saying he can't play. It's not like he's played 4 years of football, So that kind of sucks.
Dyslexia and ADHD or ADD, whichever, it wasn't back then. It wasn't treated as such.
No.
You were just a dude that can't retain the information.
Nope. If you were too hyperactive, they'd give you Ritalin. Period. That was it. Otherwise, sorry. Yeah, it's true. So he, that's what he says, but it doesn't work out for him. They don't let him play. He said that nobody knew about these problems that he had until his junior year of high school, when he went to a different school and then back to it, and there was some testing, and that's how they ended up figuring it out. So he missed out on the senior year's team's 10-0-1 record. They ended up winning a sectional championship, and all the people that were interested in him in his junior year, all the colleges, they all disappear because he's not around for his senior year. So one of the coaches said, his coach in high school said schools aren't interested in players who missed their senior season. But he said Coach Osborne, Tom Osborne of Nebraska, told me that this is the first time Nebraska would think about offering a scholarship to a player in Christian's situation. They're one of the teams that were interested there. His coach said there'd been a lot of interest in Christian after his junior season, but when word got out, and believe me, it got out fast, that Christian was ineligible, that interest diminished. And Peter said, Christian himself said, I was very emotional in the locker room on the day of the decision. I cried. So, yeah.
Sure.
He said, I was down, I was upset, I was mad. I never thought they would take it away from me. We kept getting temporary injunctions allowing me to play. I thought we had a shot of winning. My goal was to be the best lineman in the state. Okay. So his coach said, to me, he is the best. He would have been on both sides of the ball. He's only playing offensive line in his junior season. He's not even playing defensive line yet. So he says later on, Christian said, I'm still bitter about it sometimes. I understand, but that doesn't mean I have to agree with it. So Nebraska's looking at him based on film, because you can't just – coaches will call the coach, a college coach will call the high school coach, what's this kid all about? And all the high school coaches will say, oh, he's great. He's 6'5" when he's 6'2". He's fucking 280 when he's 260. Things like that. They embellish a little bit. Yeah, because if that guy goes to a big school, that coach looks great, and players want to play for him in his high school, and it's good for him. So makes him look like a big smart guy. So this one tape they had was against a scrimmage game against Colonia High School, and that's all they had on him. One scrimmage from his senior year. That's all they have on him playing defense. Other than that, it's just offensive line. So his coach said of his performance that day in that scrimmage, quote, I've never seen anything like it by a high school football player. This film is an all-timer.
Have you ever gotten a message out of the blue? Maybe you ignore them. Or maybe you end up in conversation. Maybe they tell you about an amazing offer. I can really show you how to make some money. And maybe that gets you into a lot of trouble. But this isn't a story about people like you, the people receiving these messages. This is a story about the people behind the messages, on the other end of the line. Thousands of them, working in a microcity built for scammers. From Wondery, the makers of Dr. Death and Kill List, comes Scam Factory, a new series about survival at the expense of others. Follow Scam Factory on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Scam Factory early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this White Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. I'm going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
a big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
With a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
He recorded 14 pancakes, which is an offensive lineman stat, which means that you knock your guy down and you win. Blocking basically. Yeah. But completely, you knock him on his ass. So he did that. Again, he also made his defensive debut. On one play, he ran over a 200-pound fullback while running to the ball. They said he was like, two guys would be on him. He'd just throw them off. Like the Hulk, basically. They were like, holy shit. His coach said Nebraska saw just 7 plays and they wanted him. Christian's strength is his mobility. Nebraska didn't believe a kid with his size could be as good as he is. They said, and Christian said, they told me I'll either play nose guard or defensive tackle. The last 2 weeks have been the best of my life when they recruited him.
Yeah.
So his coach said Nebraska needs a dominating guy inside. They need someone who can to defend the defensive perimeter. They think Christian is the missing piece to the puzzle. He's only played one full season of football. To me, he's only reached a quarter of his real potential. Christian has great sense, and he's relentless. So,
Unreal.
Yeah.
Unreal.
That's fucking, it's from a fucking tape of a scrimmage.
Played one season.
That's crazy, man.
Then he plays a scrimmage in his senior year. That's it. And he's still got it. But not only does he still got it, he's so much better.
That's how physically impressive the guy is. So that's...
God, that must be so great.
Yeah, think about that later on, how big and strong he is, tossing people off. In certain situations later on, you're going to go, Jesus Christ, Christian.
It could be utilized in certain ways.
In illegal ways.
Yeah.
So the coach said that he told Tom Osborne, Nebraska's coach, that Christian, he said that, he could probably play for you, right away. He's that big and strong. But he has to make the mandatory 700 score on his SAT. And he does have the 2.0 grade point average necessary.
The C average.
But he does not have a that's a C average. He doesn't have the 700 SAT score at the time. So
that's hard to get, right?
No. 700 is not hard to get at all. 700 is really easy to get. That's real basic shit.
Do you get
back then it was what 1600 was a perfect score.
14?
1600.
16 or 4? Is
back,
it 16?
Back then it was 1600, okay. And he got a 700. Put it this way, I did a lot better than that, and really? I only did it because I didn't know. I thought you had to. I thought you had to take the test. I didn't even know you could not do it. I wasn't even going to college. I just took it. I never studied for it, and I did a lot better than 700. And I
know there's a time limit, but that's all I know. Yeah.
So it doesn't take a lot, I don't think, to get a 700. So he was trying to do that. So he signs a letter of intent. They say he's probably going to play somewhere on the defensive line. They measured him in at 6'2.5", 305 pounds, running a 4.7 40.
Wow.
That's a big, scary man. 56-inch chest.
Scary, fast man.
That's why he's so scary, because he's fast.
Yeah.
If he was just big, you could run away from him, but he's probably going to catch you on top of it.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a 56-inch chest, a 21-inch neck, 20.5-inch biceps. He's like a fucking wrestler. He's huge.
Yeah.
He's works out 6 days a week, bench presses 430 pounds, 500-pound deadlifts. He's doing all this type of shit. So he's a big, massive guy. He only visited 2 schools. Only 2 schools were interested in him.
And Nebraska's one of them.
It was Temple and Nebraska. And Temple's not a football school. It's a basketball school.
But it's a big school.
It's a big school, but it's a basketball school. It's not. Nebraska at that time was a major college football powerhouse. I mean, they were a top 10 team, for Christ's sake, all the time.
I feel like the community college would have laughed at me and not wanted me just because it would bring down the student body's GPA.
Yeah, I would have done terribly in school because I wouldn't have done the stuff. I just wouldn't have. It didn't interest me.
I don't have time for this.
Comedy and this are the only things I've ever stuck to that I actually was interested in and stuck to. Otherwise, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I'm not doing that. So his coach called the University of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Ohio State. Nobody bit. Nobody even would look at Christian. They wouldn't even let him send a tape. They weren't even interested at all. So it was Nebraska. They said, well, why'd you pick Nebraska over Temple? And he said, not the coaching staff, not the stadium, not the tradition of winning, not this, not that.
Is it the girls?
The weight room, Jimmy.
Okay. Yeah.
He called it a palace.
Yeah, I bet it's pretty amazing.
He said, "Oh, and the academic program won me over too."
Yeah. Right.
If your number one thing is the weight room, your number 2 thing isn't academics. I can pretty much guarantee you that, probably, if you're looking for a college. He said that people think the only thing you do in Nebraska is play football. Academics are first. You have to have the grades before you get on the field.
Uh-huh.
And then he read that off a card, and then he was like, he looked on the back to see if there was anything else, and he goes, "No, that's it. That's all I'm supposed to say."
It says end right here.
It said end of statement. Oh wait, no, that's for me. I'm sorry.
I'm supposed to read that. I'm sorry.
Don't read shit in parentheses. Okay, that's stage direction. I'm sorry, everybody. Walk off right. No, fuck, I did it again. Bye. He walks off left.
Wave happily. God damn it.
Shit. Wave and smile. Be friendly. God damn it. So to make sure he did well in the classroom, they said that Nebraska offers one of the most comprehensive learning disability programs in the country. He's going to undergo a battery of tests to determine his deficiencies, and if necessary, he'll be assigned a personal mentor who will accompany him to class and constantly monitor every facet of his academic progress.
He is integral. They want him so bad.
They want him so bad. They're going to assign him like an Asian kid to do his homework and like do everything for him and walk around with him and shit. Make sure he doesn't get into trouble. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah. Little cheerleaders show him where the classes are.
No. He'll get too distracted by them. It's not a cheerleader. Definitely not. His coach from high school said it's an extremely structured program. His mentor will use everything from textbooks to cassette tapes to make sure the lesson is understood. So he's got like a full-time tutor, basically, they're giving him. He said, Christian said, I feel like I can adapt. I think I can succeed. I feel confident about the whole thing. This is the happiest I've been in a while. My teammates keep me up. They'll make me feel like I'm a part of everything because when he got there. And my coach, he's there for me whenever I need him. We're a family. So he sits out his first year on a Prop 48 thing, which means he's not academically eligible to play. He doesn't ever get his SAT scores up high enough. Really? So he sits out there, and he said he was super rambunctious, as he called it, when he first got to college because he wasn't playing football. He couldn't play.
Yeah.
He said, I just wanted to play football, and I didn't go to class much.
But he's on the team, so he gets those benefits.
He gets all the benefits of being on the team without actually playing. Yeah. And the whole point of why you're not playing is because your grades aren't good enough. And so what do? Not go to class much. So beautiful. This is the type of dumb that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I just want to play football, so I didn't go to class much. Well, can't have one without the other, stupid. So that's what I mean about dumb when he's not stupid. So it's annoying. So he had he called it some stern counseling by a roommate of his who was a defensive tackle named Kevin Ramekers and defensive coordinator Charlie McBride. And he said they helped set him on the straight and narrow path. He said, Peter said, I got into some of the garbage a lot of the other freshmen get into. Kevin was just like an older brother when I got there. He took me in and shook me up. So he had to stop doing that. Next up, he had to get his weight down because by the end of his freshman year, he was 350 pounds.
Oh, the freshman 50. Yeah.
Yeah, that's normal. The freshman 50. The freshman 60, I think, for him, actually. That freshman 65 hits you quick, you know what I mean? Hits you fast.
It's hard when you're sitting there on just ramen and cheese crisps and from time to time a burrito, but it really packs on.
It really does. And a lot of these programs will have, not all of them, some of them the players have to kind of fend for themselves, but a lot of them have a nonstop food thing that you can eat.
Freshman 50.
Freshman 50. What caused that?
Yeah, what?
Quote, too much late night food. How long was late night to him? From midnight to noon? What is he talking about?
How much food is that?
That's what I mean.
50 pounds packed on has to be.
That's a lot of food.
5,000 pounds of food.
That's so much food. So he said he tried to get it right. He tried to said he wanted to stick to eating turkey, rice, and pasta, high protein, high carbohydrates, low fat.
Okay.
He said as long as
James, I got news for you. I've packed on 15 pounds in the past 3 years, and I have not eaten.
Not 5-0.
It's a lot of food, but not that. How much food is that?
If I said gain 50 pounds, you'd go, whew, you'd have to get you'd have to get like a chart going of all the stuff you'd have to eat, and you'd have to set up a plan to eat that much because it would be hard.
Or alcohol. Alcohol will certainly just throw the pounds on you.
Yeah, that'll do it. And beer will do it to you.
Empty fucking calories are awful.
Now, he said as long as he stays in Lincoln, he's okay, but whenever he goes home, he balloons right up.
Yeah.
And he goes to the restaurant. It is. It's all a bunch of rich, fine French food. So he said his mom's cooking for him. He said, quote, whenever I go home, I put on some weight. I can't stay away from my dad's restaurant. And at home, there are always cookies sitting on the counter. All that garbage is temptation, and I don't need it.
For the French make delicious desserts, James.
Fuck yeah. They're the ones that make all the good desserts. They make good desserts.
Eclairs,
they make all the decadent dessert shit. That's what they're good at.
So much chocolate and cream.
That's one thing about Italian food that I've always felt we lack in is dessert. Because it's not what fucking Italian. There's like 2 Italian desserts. Go to an Italian restaurant. What do you have for dessert? Tiramisu and cheesecake. And cheesecake isn't Italian. So we don't have anything. Spumoni. Oh, so you
cannoli,
have ice and cannoli, which is fucking too rich anyway. We have like cookies and shit, but it's not desserts. You know what I mean? Like a big plate of dessert.
Right.
We don't do that. It's a less
custards and berries and shit that the French use. Oh, God.
Probably because the government collapsed every 20 years, so you can't really get set up for baking. It's a very shit was tenuous back then.
We got pasta. That's what we got.
That's what we got.
Easy.
You can make it, and you have it on the run with you. It's fine. So, he said he doesn't need that shit. Now, also in 1991, in his freshman year, he is charged with a slew of crimes this year while he's, quote, bored and eating late-night food. The first 4 of which are as follows. These are all separate incidents, by the way. 4. Trespassing. Yeah. Okay, that's normal. Disturbing the peace for being an idiot. Failing to appear in court.
Over being where he shouldn't be.
One of those.
So you're telling me he bees where he shouldn't bees, and then
he don't bees
where he's supposed to bees?
Where he's told to bees. Where he is bound to bees. As a matter of fact.
Required to bees.
Where he is legally tethered to bees. Not supposed to be. So he's not doing what he's supposed to. What he's supposed to bees doing is the problem. Yes. So another one was failure to comply with the order of a police officer. That's not a good one. Another time he threatened to kill a parking attendant as his car was being towed. Which he was charged for that as well, because you can't do that.
I can see those words coming out,
When a 6'3", 290-pound monster threatens to kill you, you take that seriously. He just might.
You do.
He doesn't need a weapon or anything. He could do it with his hands.
Anywhere between 290 and 350 at this point, though.
Anywhere in there. He can balloon up and go down at any point. He's really, he's got an odd body type here. So a lot of these charges were dismissed, though, because he plays for Nebraska. So, you know what I mean? It's
Husker will and a Husker will.
We'll take him in and everything will be okay. Tom Osborne standing next to him. Tom Osborne's a silver motherfucker, by the way. Wow. I mean, we talked about it before. He, I believe, kind of started the trend of silver-haired middle-aged white men on this show with the Lawrence Phillips episode, which was in the first couple episodes.
Right.
It was right there. So I feel like
He's writing letters to him from fucking...
That was Coach Pagone. Dear Coach Pagone. Yeah. Dear Coach Pagone. Things are fun in prison now. Yeah. That was the introduction of the In Their Own Words music. Because it was just so funny to have music over his stupid letters.
But you don't become a college powerhouse like Nebraska or Penn State or these places where football just thrives without trying to make things disappear from guys that just feel above the law. They're going to feel
it's going to happen
when you tell them that every day.
So then he has some more serious infractions here and some more serious accusations as well. Christian, Peter, to put it this way, is a little handsy with the ladies, let's just say.
Christian.
And more, allegedly. So here's a woman named Amy Ryan, young lady at that time. She was a freshman at Nebraska in the fall of 1991. Her first night of college, she said that she and a friend of hers went to a party in the courtyard, like an outdoor thing, just kind of a first night get to know you type of
mixer. Mingler.
Which is wow. There's a lot of socializing in college. You really got to have a lot of energy to go to classes and then be like, and then we're going to go here and then we're going to go there. It'd be like, enough with people already, for fuck's sake. Enough.
That's what happens when you have a fucking tiny ass 8x10 that you got to live in with another person. You got to get out.
Do they make a dorm room so unsettling that you want to be out of there? Is that the point?
I'd just rather be in the courtyard with everybody else.
So they're hanging out. She said at that point Peter began to, quote, talk dirty to her. She said that he had been drinking, obviously. Yeah. She said, quote, I told him to go away. He said I could take you away. Then he unzipped his pants.
Oh, boy.
I don't know if he exposed himself because my friend and I turned away. His friend yelled, oh, my God, Christian. That was my first taste of college.
I got news for you. It was out.
It was
It felt the breeze.
If one of his friends reacted that way, that meant his dick was out.
Right.
And he was probably waving it at them, I assume, or swinging it back and forth.
Oh, probably flicking it. Eesh.
Flicking it. I thought he was kind of like moving his hips back and forth, flopping it around.
Yeah.
Not gyration, just back and forth, making it flop.
No helicopter? Just
No. A side to side.
From thigh to thigh.
Wait a second, Jimmy, you don't helicopter on an intro. What do you think? He's not a gentleman here? Jesus Christ. You side to side to show him what you're working with, then you helicopter when they're interested. Jesus, Jimmy, it's like you've never been with a woman before.
Or do you hold it and jiggle it at him like it's angry?
That's after the helicopter. Then you hold it and you go, look in his eye. Look at him. No, you do none of that. You keep your dick in your pants, and you don't take it out.
Look.
Yeah. Chicks will every guy out there, chicks will let you know when they want your dick out.
That's true.
They'll let you know. Like when it needs to make an appearance, it'll be there. You don't need to take it out early. Tell you
I think I'd be more welcome to him being frustrated that it isn't out, rather than terrified that it is.
Absolutely, yeah. That err on the side of caution on
frustration.
That one. Let's just say. So Amy Ryan said this didn't affect her that much, and she didn't even think about filing a police report or anything. She just thought it was like a college prank. It's 1991. Yeah. It's 1991 too. You have to think about the time is different.
Away, so she doesn't even feel like a victim at this point.
No, I knew a guy in high school who was at parties all the time. He didn't go to my high school, but he was in a group of friends, whatever. He went to a different high school. He wasn't like 30. He was our age. He just went to a different high school. But his party trick was to take his balls out all the time. He had the weirdest, largest set of elephantitis balls anybody had ever seen in your life.
At 18, yeah.
And you'd go to a party, he'd just come with like a plate from the kitchen with his balls sitting on it, carrying it out there, and everybody would laugh. But I mean, that was 5 years later than this. Yeah, so that was sort of considered, not like it should be, but it was sort of considered just, annoying more than anything.
Yeah.
Not and threatening at that point.
In the realm of sexual threatening, the balls are the least.
That's the thing. His dick stayed in his pants.
Yeah.
It just took his giant balls out and put them out.
Balls are the least threatening. They're disgusting or hilarious.
Just balls sticking out of an unzipped pant, too, is very funny. Out of where your dick hole... Just balls coming out the dick hole is just, I don't know what it is. It's just a kind of a funny thing. It was amusing, I have to say. And I never remember anybody being like threatened or feeling odd about it. He didn't put them on people either. So he never was doing it at anybody. This is kind of, if you shake your dick at someone, I feel like that's
aggressive.
That's aggressive. Yeah. If there was 40 people and you were like, woo, look at my dick, like a 70s streaker, or something. Yeah. That's weird.
That evolves into worse, but it's not on the it's not threatening to an individual.
That's what I mean, to an individual. So
but the balls is just the least.
They're balls. They're so sensitive. A dick can hurt you. Balls can't. You flick balls.
Can hurt me.
Yeah, you flick balls, and that party's over. No one's using their balls as a method of attack.
Right?
I'm going to take my balls and I'm going to beat them senseless with them. No, you're not. That'll hurt you way worse.
I've always thought my balls were too big, and then I saw a doctor for other things, and just like the physical, and he confirmed that yes, sir. Those are much larger than they should be. Those are much bigger. And if I'd have known that was an option, just to show people how big they are.
No, Jimmy. These were like. I
got a lot, Jay.
No. But these were like what you'd imagine Andre the Giant's balls to look like.
That's
I'm talking he was like a 6 foot tall, 170 pound kid, and he took out 7'5", 500-pound Grenoble from the French Alps balls and put them out on a fucking plate. People it was to the point where when he did it, people went, "Oh my god!" You couldn't help it.
For 3 men,
they looked prosthetic. That's how they were freakish. I don't know how he got him out of the zipper of his pants. Luckily, we were wearing giant jeans back then. Otherwise,
you couldn't tell.
You never would have got him out
of anything. What was happening with dudes then? Waist down, we were a fucking bell. It was bizarre.
Oh, who the hell knew what was happening there?
The weirdest jeans. Why did we do that?
Because it was comfortable.
Yeah.
It was very comfortable.
That's true. Yeah,
tell me how comfortable your balls were. They were great.
Sweatpants, jeans. Jesus Christ.
Shit in your pockets, all comfortable, and to digging there. It was wonderful.
Couldn't see anything when I sat down. You couldn't see through them at all.
No, they were fantastic.
Now I've got a cell phone ring in my front pocket, like
Everybody
a skull
does.
ring of a cowboy. You know what I mean?
You can see what's in everybody's pocket.
Yeah.
You can inventory anyone's pocket from 30 feet away now.
What's
It's
that?
ridiculous.
What's that, a fucking iPhone 6?
Yeah.
Nice.
When I was a kid, we used to carry like hammers in our pockets and nobody could tell. Literally a fucking hammer you'd have in your pocket. No one could tell that shit because it was so baggy. So it was good, though, for protection. So this Amy Ryan said, we figured he was just being rude and we couldn't prove he exposed himself. So whatever. But Ryan lived on the dorm room in her dorm, lived on the same floor as another young lady who will have a different experience with Christian a little bit later on, as we'll talk about. Ryan did sign a statement for that student. The student later on will allege first-degree sexual assault after she went into his room. And Amy Ryan will sign a statement saying that, yeah, he whipped his dick out in front of me, too, kind of a pattern of behavior thing. And this woman, though, won't file the police report for about 2 years, and we'll get into that. So the one who she'll end up suing Nebraska too, the other one. So
really?
Then there's a young lady named Kathy Redman. She came here. She came from Columbine High School, by the way, before anyone knew
before all the awful stuff.
Yeah, she was the captain of the cheerleading squad.
Oh.
Kathy Redman. She went to University of Nebraska, though. She was born there. 4 generations of her family went to the university.
Wow.
Her great-uncle wrote the Nebraska fight song.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're like, she's all Nebraska.
She's Husker through and through.
Her grandmother's Russian meat and cabbage sandwiches were sold in the football stadium. And her father was a varsity baseball star at Nebraska, where he one time homered off of Bob Feller in an exhibition game there.
Holy shit.
So, yeah. She
corn. Allergic to corn.
Allergic to corn. Can't eat it at all. She's Kathy Redman's 5'2", 120 pounds. She's a small chick. Yeah. She's captain of the cheerleaders. She's at Nebraska for a week this year when she meets Christian Peter. And she says Peter lured her into his room and raped her. The next day, she says that Peter pushed his way past dorm security to get into their dorm and went into her room and raped her again, this time with 2 of his teammates keeping watch outside the door.
Oh, what the fuck?
That's her story. It sounds...
This is the fight song's granddaughter, and wow, man,
she was kind of like Nebraska royalty, like a football player was. Like when they brought her in, like they said they brought her in to tour the school. They brought her around on a golf cart to show her everything, and
she loved this for a minute.
Yeah, for a week.
Damn it! Oh, Jesus.
She says that, quote, I told him no both nights and it didn't register. His eyes were very predatory, just blank. There was nothing there. I remember that vividly. Nothing behind those eyes. It's like these terrorists. You wonder how they can do what they do. It's just a lack of conscience. Mm-hmm. So that's
sharp.
Yep. She said it was August 31st, 1991 in his Harper Residence Hall room. Was the first one, and the second assault occurred 2 days later in her Smith Hall room. And, so she said that a 1991 Nebraska football recruit who never ends up playing for the team also touched her during the second assault as well.
What the fuck?
That's what she said. She said she didn't tell anybody at the time. She said, I was scared my family would pull me out of school and I would be a victim for life. She didn't want this to be her whole... I got to school for a week and then this happened, and so now I go home and hide. That's not what she wanted to do.
I'm not going to let this define me and be my fucking identity. It's horrible.
But she became very withdrawn, and her family, after her freshman year, confronted her about why she was so withdrawn. What's going on with you? Why are you so different since you went to college? And she told her mother. So her mother confronted a Nebraska assistant coach. That's how much these people know Nebraska. They can call up a Nebraska assistant coach and be like, hey, asshole, what the fuck's going on?
How dare you allow this?
Yep. They said that that coach did nothing. Her father was an Air Force radar navigator who flew more than 200 bombing missions in Vietnam.
Oh, my God.
That's her father.
Hero. Yeah.
That's her father. They said he said he just feels numb about the whole thing, and he doesn't understand why the university won't help. She went to the university police 2 years later, and people questioned why she waited so long. She said, "What I feared most was the reaction of the people of Nebraska because that was my home, and they made me feel like I was the villain, like I was the perpetrator." She received death threats and prank phone calls. A lot of prank phone calls would just be people playing the Nebraska fight song.
Oh, that's fucked, man.
Her car was vandalized. She said that she was trailed by a private investigator for months. She said the university knew and they just didn't care because they were playing good football.
Unreal.
Yeah. Her father said that it was like the ultimate betrayal that, the university did nothing. Yeah. Right. One caller, when he answered the phone, this is the father, said, "You better get your daughter off Nebraska's back," is what he heard when there was a lot of calls. He said that he took off his varsity ring and put it in a drawer. He was so upset. He and his wife resigned their co-presidencies of an alumni group, and they were done. They said they would never set foot on the Nebraska campus again, the parents.
Wow.
Fucking done with that school.
Big fans of the rival now.
Yeah, no, you'd have to be. Fuck it.
Yeah.
I don't even know who Nebraska's rival is, but who cares? Iowa, maybe? I don't know. Diabetes, heart disease, opiates, crystal meth, I'm assuming. I don't know. Just based on location. Corning accidents. I'm not sure.
Big fans of heart disease now.
I'm not positive. They're rooting for it. Come on, blocked arteries. Let's go. Shut down that aorta. Let's do this. 1 ventricle, 2 ventricle, 3 ventricles blow. 1, 2. So
I would be so mad though. As a father of a daughter, you obviously that's a stupid thing to say too. When people get upset when you say, "Well, I have women in my life and I care about them," but look,
fuck,
it's oh my god, I can't imagine.
Yeah,
how would you feel as a father if that your beloved, your New York Giants, James, raped your daughter? That would be horrible.
That's a terrible fucking thing. And especially if you were a man who, how many bodies do you think a guy who's run 200 bombing missions over Vietnam has on his hands? How many thousand bodies do you think he has on his hands?
Yeah.
He's thinking, I could just fly one fucking bomb, I'll kill them all.
Yeah. I can make that town popcorn tomorrow.
One over the practice field, I'll get everybody. I swear to Christ. I could do it and I know how. Don't fuck with me.
I'll leave it in a fucking field of kettle corn. Fuck that place.
Oh, my God. He said, "I thought, how can I be proud of my university when you hurt my daughter and tried to cover it up?" More on that later when there's a lawsuit and when she actually goes to the cops in 93. 1992, Christian's at redshirt that year.
Yep.
So he doesn't play again. So think about this. He's played junior year of high school.
Yep.
Sat out his senior year. Sat out the next year. Now he's sitting out the next year.
Oh, my God.
So we're talking 3 years of no football activity.
Yeah.
I mean, he's practicing and shit, but 3 years of no.
3 years of free time.
Yeah, and he's only had 1 year of actual games, and that was when he was a junior in high school. So that's so weird. Good for his body, actually, because, I mean, he's fresh as a fucking daisy. He has none of the football, accumulated football injuries that a lot of these kids have by 21, 22 years old. He has none of those.
Bad for the ladies of Nebraska. He is spry and hunting.
He is. December 1992, he's arrested for public urination, which is classy. It's a classy move. I wonder how they'd feel at the
always out.
Always. Well, maybe he was just taking it out to wave it at somebody, and some piss came out. We don't know.
And it's just the urge hit him.
I'm going to say he wasn't actually pissing. He was actually waving his cock at a woman, and they just thought he was pissing. That's why his dick was out, and they arrested him.
That was his excuse.
Yeah, and they were like, "Well, a man's got to pee sometimes."
Yeah.
So he's arrested there. I wonder how the fromagerie would take to public urination. Doesn't sound like a place where a lot of public urination is tolerated over there.
A few miles from the glass spires of Midtown Atlanta lies the South River Forest. In 2021 and 2022, the woods became a home to activists from all over the country who gathered to stop the nearby construction of a massive new police training facility, nicknamed Cop City.
At approximately 9 o'clock this morning, as law enforcement was moving through various sectors of the property, an individual, without warning, shot a Georgia State Patrol trooper.
This is We Came to the Forest, a story about resistance.
The abolitionist mission isn't done until every prison is empty and shut down.
Love and fellowship.
It was probably the happiest I've ever been in my life.
And the lengths we'll go to protect the things we hold closest to our hearts. Follow We Came to the Forest on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can binge all episodes of We Came to the Forest early and ad-free right now by joining Wondery Plus.
In the 1980s, a rosé swept the country.
Hey, Mike, I really like this white Zinfandel.
Well, good. Now put it down. We're going to try another one.
White Zin became America's top-selling wine. But most don't know that this sweet drink has a sour history. What began in 1986 with counterfeit bottles,
A big fraud, a multi-million-dollar fraud,
sent investigators chasing one of the most powerful families in the business, the Licciardis. But the closer the feds got to them, the more dangerous things became. It's a story of deceit.
At the time, I was paranoid.
Threats.
You touch my kids, I will kill you.
And murder.
with a .22 caliber bullet to the head.
What started with a scheme to mislabel wine spilled into a blood-soaked battle for succession. Welcome to Bloodvines. You can binge listen to Bloodvines exclusively and ad-free on Wondery Plus. Join Wondery Plus in the Wondery app, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify.
So,
what do you think the statistics are on male versus women being arrested for public urination?
It's so much easier for a guy to piss.
Yeah.
That's one thing that nature has really done for us is we can really be anywhere and be like, I gotta go piss quick and go stand over there and piss quick, minimal intrusion of anything.
Be done. Yeah.
A woman's really got to work to not piss all the way on her shoes and her legs and everything else. She's got to get in a deep squat. That's a very vulnerable position. We're in a very non-vulnerable position. Someone comes up on us, we turn around, spray piss on them. We got them. We're not. Then I'll fight you with my dick out, piss coming out. I don't care. Whereas if you're a woman, you're squatting down with your pants around your knees. There's no way to defend yourself for anything that comes at you.
Or get away. There's no way to run.
No, it's what I mean. You what are you going to do? You stand
your legs
up.
are tied up.
First step, you're falling on your face. It's not cool.
Or your ass and in the piss.
It's a lot harder for you to pee on somebody also. Or at them, I should say.
I feel like, though, because of that hurdle, it's probably much more likely that men are arrested for that awful crime.
Plus, we're just like, I'll just piss here.
Yeah,
like we're much more into marking our territory. I feel like, and pissing in an alley or on a sidewalk than a woman's like, I have to find a thing. I want to wash my hands afterwards. We're like, I don't fucking care. Shake my hand, touch my dick.
The vast majority of those arrests are likely after being intoxicated. And the one thing that quickly goes away when intoxicated is balance. And if you've got to squat,
that's rough.
You better find a toilet.
I remember high school. There's some talented girls that could go
is that right?
like a party in the woods. They could be shit-faced and go squat down and piss. You're like, that's impressive, man. Good for you. Good for you.
Do that.
Good for you, sweetheart. Not bad.
I couldn't do that at this level of intoxication.
If you see a girl flawless, like shit-faced, flawlessly drop, squat, and fucking pop up, that girl's an alcoholic every time. I guarantee you, because she has a lot of experience.
Yeah, she's got problems.
Pissing in fields also. She's, you know what I mean?
She's not holding on to anything? That's magic.
No, that's wild. May 1993, so before the next season, he's charged with possession of alcohol by a minor.
Okay.
Found guilty on that, and you, sir, may fuck off $100 fine.
Oh.
How dare you? How dare you? He'll do worse, by the way, in 93. We'll talk about all that, though. Something else, actually, in May of 1993 that happened, but we'll talk about it after we talk about the football from that year. Nebraska, 1993, they go 11-1. Not too shabby. 11-1. They come in third in the final AP poll. They go all the way to the Orange Bowl, but they lose to Florida State 18-16. So
fourth in the country?
Third. They ended up third.
Okay.
They were the national champions if they had 3 more points, though. That's how it worked that year. So there you go. That's that year. On that team, you got Tommy Frazier's the quarterback. Brooks Behringer. Remember him in the NFL as a backup for a long time? Lawrence Phillips on that team, of course. Christian Peter and Lawrence Phillips together on the same team. Imagine that. Think about the fuckery that takes place there. Holy balls there. So, a bunch of guys like that. A couple of alums will come up later on with him. Now, he didn't even get in until in 93. this year he started getting into games a little bit, actually. He's filled in for an injured guy and made a couple of tackles. In one game, had 4 tackles in one game that he was in, and in the second half, and everybody said he was doing well. He said, that one game made all the 3 years of garbage I went through worth it. It felt so good knowing that I finally did something to help the team and get a win. And I had my cock in my pants the whole time.
The garbage I've been through.
The garbage I've been through. He's been there. He spent all but 1 week that summer in Lincoln, didn't go home and eat. He's had a strict conditioning regimen. He was running 4 days a week, working out 6 days a week. Got in there. He said, it's a tough road, but that test showed I'm finally getting where I want to be. He said, 2 years ago, I was probably headed to 400 pounds and a career in the World Wrestling Federation as some big bad guy. He would be an amazing wrestler.
He knows it.
I certainly wasn't headed to a starting position to Terry Connolly, one of the best next to Terry Connolly, one of the best defenses in college football. That's hard to read. It's a newspaper clipping, so I couldn't read it. The problem, though, is he also ends up pleading no contest to a third-degree sexual assault against a former Miss Nebraska in 1993.
That is not Amy Ryan?
Not any of those people we've talked about. This is what happened in May of 1993. Something else. After his public urination and after his drinking by a minor. Right. He is sentenced to, for this, you, sir, may fuck off 18 months of probation.
Oh.
So you watch out, young man.
Right.
Don't do anything wrong here.
On a sexual assault charge?
Third-degree sexual assault. He's also not supposed to go into bars during this time, which cuts down on pretty much everything he does because he's always in bars. The woman, Natalie, oh my God, how do I say this name? Kuvenhoven, Kuijvenhoven.
Okay.
Former Miss Nebraska and future news anchor. She does I know she worked in Idaho for a while doing being a local news anchor. She said that in May 1993, he was drinking at a bar, and it's a packed bar, and he talked to her and grabbed her crotch twice.
Yikes.
Grabbed her by the pussy and said, quote, "Come on, I know you like that." In front of other people as well, by the way. This isn't like in a bathroom or something. This is in public. He'll wave his cock and grab crotches in front of people. That's so flagrant. Imagine being alone with this fucking guy. So he pleads no contest to third-degree sexual assault and had to apologize to this woman as part of an 18-step, 18-month probation that included enrollment in an aftercare program and an interpersonal communications course. Did that consist of don't grab people by the pussy and say, you know you like that? That's our course in interpersonal communications. When you're talking to people, avoid their genitalia with your hands. And then if you do accidentally brush up against it, don't say, you know you like that. That's probably aggressive.
And make sure you apologize.
Yeah. The terms also barred him from any establishment, quote, where the primary source of income is through the sale of alcohol. So no bars. Now, they were comparing it. One article compared it to a similar incident to show how Nebraska differs from how other schools handle this shit.
Right.
An incident like that in the same time period happened at West Point, where Army plays.
Right. Yeah.
And Army players were suspended for the remainder of the season.
Holy shit, they took it dead serious.
Everyone involved suspended for the remainder of the season. Christian Peter gets, suspended by Tom Osborne for 1 week of spring practice. Spring practice. It's not even the fucking training camp. It's spring practice where they come and fuck around without pads and lift weights and run around.
They don't even want to do this anyway.
No, 1 week of spring practice. And then Osborne would not comment on Peter's past problems or any disciplinary action or anything about it. So he would later say about this, Christian Peter here, this is much later, not now. This is like in 2005 fucking 12, he'll say this. Quote, I apologized to the court of law, but I did not apologize to her. I took full responsibility for that. I would have no problem apologizing to her. I don't have a time frame, but I totally owe her an apology. So later on, he says that. So he must be good now, right? I mean, he's been... Yeah. 1 week of spring practice will really put the fear of God in somebody. You take a week of spring practice away from a man, and he starts to see what's important in life, right?
What the fuck?
Well, even his attorney, Hal Anderson, said, quote, it was wrong, and Christian stood up and admitted it was wrong. He's taken steps to handle serious alcohol problems. If you knew him before this and know him now, he's two different people. He's good now, everybody.
You're telling me, James, he's a different guy at 50 than he was at 20?
Good. No. This is at 20.
Okay.
I'm not.
Today he's good now?
No. The quote about I apologize, but I totally owe her an apology, that's in 2012.
Yeah, right.
This quote from his attorney is while this is going on.
Unbelievable.
He's two different people now. At 21, he's completely turned the page.
It took him 36 hours, and he's really...
Then he said... that the offense was, quote, this is the lawyer, this guy needs a kick right in the dick. If you knew him before, he's two different people. And then he said that the offense was, quote, nothing very egregious.
He grabbed a woman twice.
In public. That is disgusting. And that the woman was just, quote, engaged to someone who was very anti-Nebraska football.
Oh, get the fuck out of here.
Just married to a big Colorado fan, so that's all it was. Don't worry about it. Just a big Texas fan. The fuck are you talking? What an asshole. This is what I'm talking about.
Fascinating.
That's the most silver shit I've ever heard. It's nothing egregious to twice grab a woman's pussy in a fucking... Right. Not even saying like, hey, he thought she was giving him the eye, so he went in for like an aggressive fucking come-on line. She rejected him. He felt horrible about it. No. Don't do that, by the way, either. But she said stop, and he was like, oh, no, I'm going to grab you because you like it.
And she said... You're not going to get away with this because I'm a huge Buffaloes fan.
Yeah, this is my boyfriend really likes another team, and this'll learn him. So she said that she was scared of what people might think or what Peter might do. She was afraid of him. She said many of the women on campus have been intimidated by the greatness of the Nebraska athletic system. She said she was often told by Peter's teammates to drop the charges. She said, quote, I had standing in my community. That gave me courage, and there was such a history with him. I didn't want it to happen to anybody else.
That a girl.
She said, though, watching him play in the Orange Bowl the next year, she said it was upsetting that he was able to play. I don't blame the Nebraska program. It was just a misdemeanor, so there wasn't much anybody could do, but I wish a few more women had shown some courage. Yeah. Jesus, that's a sharp way to put it.
I certainly agree.
But also a sharp way to put it. I wish these pussy-ass women getting raped would step up and fucking be like, look at my pussy. Like, that's a...
maybe bitches had some backbone around here.
Yeah. Maybe they saw what happened when you step up with this guy. Yeah. October, so he's learned his lesson, right? Mm-hmm. He's good now. I mean, after court and everything else.
The lawyer says so.
His lawyer said he's a different person, so I'm assuming he's good now. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. October 25th, 1993. He's played 1 year of football so far. Actually, this is 93. This is the beginning of the season. Right. This isn't even like he hasn't even played a year of football here yet. This is wild. Melissa Demuth, Demuth, she filed a police report against him on October 25th, 93. Charging that he, quote, pinned her down and ejaculated on her face in front of his friends after she invited them to her room.
What?
That I've never heard of that one before as even a thing that you would fucking...
Pinned her down... And, I mean, listen, you don't just press a button and you come. You know what I mean?
Did he come out of the... Well, we'll talk about what was going on here. Melissa Demuth was a professional dancer in a strip club. Yeah. And so she said that She said that basically she didn't think she could even come forward because she has no standing. She said, I'm not Miss Nebraska. She literally said that. I'm not Miss Nebraska. I can't. Miss Nebraska can go, this dude groped me, and people are like, damn, he probably did. You're fucking hot. Whereas this one, they're like, well, you're just a sleazy stripper, so people can come on your face if they want to, which is an asinine stance to have. Obviously. Yeah. So she said, if you're a dancer, what happens to you is expected. They never gave me the option of pressing charges. Real nice. They never gave me a specific reason for not doing it either. So that she said she called the police and nothing. They said the Washington Post called it an ineffectual police report. And they said it's not unusual. In a survey of 99 sexual assaults by pro or college players reported to the police during a 6-year period, 52 cases were dismissed, 29 produced convictions or plea bargains, 9 acquittals. Only 15 of the 99 athletes served any time in jail over it.
Unreal. 15%.
So that's why people don't come forward, because your life is definitely going to take a different path, but theirs might not. So it's, yeah.
Right. And worse, now you've done something to somebody who is clearly dangerous if they do this. If it's a legitimate charge, that person is clearly a fucking problem.
It's a problem.
If you're gonna accuse them of that, and then they are 15% of the time something happens to them, now that person's plenty pissed off and they're dangerous.
And with Christian, it's 0% of the time he does any jail time, and he's done this how many fucking times already? These are just the ones that came forward. Imagine when he was doing that, people were letting him get away with because he was a fucking Nebraska player, some girl who doesn't have any,
Yeah, and he's enormous.
And he's enormous and scary, and he's got teammates around him. It's terrifying over there. So a study at Massachusetts Amherst and Northeastern, they did a study together. They said athletes compose 3.3% of the college population, but produce 19% of the sexual assaults on campus.
Frightening.
That's why we do this show. So DeMuth, she said she wanted to write a letter to Tom Osborne about Peter, but police told her not to bother. They told her that Osborne already knew about it. She said, quote,
they've already high-fived over it.
Yeah, they said, was she hot? She said, quote, I know Osborne and the administrative staff know about him, and he's still playing. I was glad we won the Orange Bowl and all, but it's not fair the guy is still playing. There are so many women out there who've had bad experiences with him. I don't get it. She said, Tom Osborne has a daughter exactly my age. I met her when I was in high school. You'd think he'd understand. But his attorney said the assault charge and another police report on another event, they said they were both dismissed, and he said, good, the lawyer said. The lawyer said, quote, I have known the Lancaster District Attorney's Office for 18 years. If they believe anything is verifiable, they will prosecute. Check the credibility of the witnesses.
Oh, God, Jesus.
Christian Peters said they met at a strip club, engaged in consensual sex acts after returning to his room, and she hurriedly left when she heard some of his friends approach the door. That's his story. He says, you know what, let's do it in their own words on him trying to explain away an alleged sexual assault. What do you say? That could be good. Let's do it. In their own words, quote, I do remember we were at a bar, a strip bar, and she was dancing. She recognized who I was, and wanted to come back and party at my apartment, which is what she did. She came back, and I went into a room with her and did the things that she told me to do. Somebody knocked on the door, and she flipped out and took off and ran out of the apartment. Mm-hmm. That's it. At some point, though, jizz was on her face. So
right. So how did that happen?
Is that what she told you to do? I don't know. During this whole time, by the way, 1993, Jason commits to Nebraska as well.
Yeah, because he heard about all the fun his brother's having.
He's like, this is amazing. You can just grab women and fucking grope them, and there's no consequences. This is awesome. Come right on them. He told the World Herald newspaper, I want to be in a situation where we come out of the defensive huddle in the national championship game. It's 4th and 1, and I can look over there, and it will be my brother. So, yeah, anybody would like that. Yeah. So he redshirts his 1994 season, as a lot of people do. Now, on Christian here, back to him, this is a center on the team at Nebraska. Christian is one of the most unique individuals I've ever met in my life. People who actually sit down and talk to him one-on-one leave the conversation thinking, this is one of the coolest guys I've ever met. He was on a national radio show with Jim Rome, and after the show, Rome called him back and said he wanted to come and get together with him sometime. He's one of those people who makes Coach Osborne smile whenever he looks at him. This is.
You're telling me Jim Rome's a bad judge of character?
Weird, right? He's a bad judge of character, and Tom Osborne just smiles every time he looks at him. Oh, look at that big fucking groping alleged rapist. Look at him. I love watching him frolic.
Some people that come out of one-on-one conversations with him have sore genitals.
Yeah, and jizz on their fucking cheeks. It's a different story. So he said, this guy goes on to say, and I hate to say this, but one of the things I wanted to do was be the hardest working person in our class. It's hard for me to say this, to say that with Christian. The first time I went up against him, he thought it was his job to fight me. It was pretty comical. When he came here, he didn't know the first thing about defenses or what he was supposed to do. For him to go from that to an All-America candidate shows how much hard work can do. He also said he wants to maybe someday own a French restaurant as well, like his dad. He doesn't know. The center for Nebraska said he is two different people. A rapist and not a rapist, maybe. I don't know. Allegedly.
A Jekyll and Hyde. It's crazy.
It's weird. We don't know. Allegedly. Anyway, I mean, who knows? He said, quote, there's this guy who came here trying to be the tough guy, trying to make a name for himself on the field. The guy always in fights, but his roommates tell me stories of how when they come home from practices, Christian is always the first guy outside throwing the football with the neighbors' kids and signing autographs, being a nice guy. That's the side of Christian that people need to know. He's had a couple of bad instances that he did not do the right thing, but he's the type of person to learn from it and become better.
You almost need two hands to count them, right?
Oh, wow. You do. No, he's had 10. He had 9 arrests while he was at Nebraska total.
My God.
So, I mean, that's a lot of arrests. That's almost two-fisted arresting. That's a lot.
It's a lot of arresting.
Peter said, I'd like to be known as a monster on the field, but off the field, I want to be known as the opposite, a guy who is caring and fun to be around. He said, you think they could turn that spotlight? Oh, because he's in an interview. He said, you think they could turn that spotlight off now? So, holy shit. So first thing they did, Christian and Jason are roommates now as soon as Jason gets there.
Jesus.
So these two are together. First thing they do is go to get matching tattoos.
Yeah? What are they?
Peterbilt truck logo.
Really?
Swear to God. Matching Peterbilt truck logo tattoos.
It's a pretty good tattoo. That's cool.
Jesus Christ. My God.
I do like when people have like a name like Peter. You know what I mean?
His dad's German. He was pro-tattoo, we know, but, you know, sorry.
But I do like corporate, tying into corporate something. Like Von Miller has a giant Miller Lite tattoo. I think that's a pretty cool tattoo.
If your name's Von Miller, I guess. But
yeah. But I mean, these guys are the Peter brothers, so Peterbilt. That's a pretty cool. It's a cool tattoo.
You shouldn't. No, it's not. Don't put.
If Khalil Mack had a fucking Mack truck logo, I'll bet he does. He's
don't put a corporate logo on something unless you. Cool. Unless you are collecting some of the profits from this enterprise, don't put a goddamn logo on it.
And the other part is you better hope that they're aligned with your fucking morals and values.
That's the other thing. You never know when someone goes nuts.
Yeah, someone dude named Ron. It's tough to have an Enron tattoo.
That's tough. You heard Gold Digger got all excited. Now what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Can't have that.
Yeah, you can't do that.
It's all fucked up now.
I dropped out of college too.
Yeah.
To get that tattoo.
Shit. So they do that. That's what they do. Their mother said she didn't like the idea of them getting tattoos. She said, but they could have gotten something worse tattooed than what they did. It's rather clever. I hope they don't get any more, though.
They get more.
I guess Christian is a constant vacuumer. He's constantly vacuuming, like 5 times a week. Yeah. He vacuums, apparently. His dad said, I've seen his closet. It's so orderly. He separates his T-shirts, dress shirts, everything. Jason wasn't that way before he got there. He was pretty sloppy, but now he's getting to be the same way as Christian. I'm sure Christian wouldn't put up with messiness.
That's what we're bragging about? They put their clothes away?
Yeah.
Adults, for Christ's sake.
Well, what else are they going to say? They went out last night and didn't grope or rape anybody? Weren't accused of any criminal acts of sexual indecency?
They're making it tough to brag on them. You're right.
They kept both of their penises in their pants in public last night. It's kind of, yeah.
Yeah, I guess they both bought Lysol wipes. It's kind of a good brag.
Oh, shit. Defensive tackle on the team, Larry Townsend, he said that They still fight all the time, though, as brothers, the kids, the guys, Christian and Jason. He said one day last year, they both came in to a meeting, each having a black eye.
They gave each other black eyes.
Yeah, they beat each other up, and the Townsend said, I don't know who the victor was. Each guy was claiming it was him.
Okay.
So 1994 Nebraska, that team went 13-0. Went to the Orange Bowl versus Miami and ended up winning 24-17. They are the national champions that year.
Wow.
So he is on a national champion team. His brother redshirted, but he's there.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool for them anyway. Pretty decent. Now, the Orange Bowl, during the Orange Bowl, Chris Collinsworth was one of the announcers.
Yikes.
And during it, he saw an ESPN segment that was produced about the sexual assault, which included an interview with the Miss Nebraska, the Natalie Kuvenhoven. Fuck, I wish I could say her name right. Kuvenhoven, I think it is, on her experience. This was 2 days before the Orange Bowl. So Collinsworth brought it up with the NBC staff while they were kicking around ideas like, what are we talking about? Because this is a quote from Collinsworth, who we both hate, but this is actually, he said, quote, there were some cutesy stories about this guy and his tattoo and all that, and we were discussing whether or not to go into them. I said I would take a pass on him and try to avoid him unless he's the MVP. He's like, I don't want to say anything nice about this guy until we fucking. But he said they were trying to prepare for it, and they decided not to discuss any of the sexual assaults on the air. Basically, Collinsworth was like, I'm not going to talk about him in a good or bad way. I'm going to try to ignore the guy.
I wish Collinsworth had said something like, I'm not going to talk about him unless we address that this motherfucker's up on sexual assault charges.
Well, yeah, that was kind of what do we address? He said I kind of can't address one thing without the other.
Right.
So they decided not to discuss it on the air. Collinsworth said the feeling was that we couldn't find the supporting newspaper articles and we didn't have time anymore to get the coach or everybody we needed to explore it. In a way, it was my fault for not bringing it up earlier. So he says he should have brought it up, but he didn't bring it up in time enough for them to vet the whole thing for him to be able to talk about it and not get sued by Nebraska.
Right. As a journalist, I should have prepped harder. Otherwise, we don't talk about this at all.
Oh, that's right. I'm a wide receiver. My brain is probably rice pudding. That's probably why. I'm not the guy who does the fucking legal research here, probably. It's NBC. Could have probably passed this on to someone in the news department who could have dug this up for me. But no. Right. It's just I couldn't find a newspaper article myself. So
please just put me on NFL Game Day so that I can discuss my favorite person ever, Aaron Rodgers.
Me and Aaron Rodgers. And Aaron Rodgers. 1995 Nebraska. They go 12-0 again.
Oh.
12-0, go all the way to the Fiesta Bowl against Florida, where they absolutely fucking smoke Florida 62-24.
Wow.
That was an ass whooping, that game. I remember that game. It was a fucking drubbing, that game. Not pretty at all.
Yeah.
So they're number one again. They win the national championship again. This time, both brothers on the team. Not red shirt and doing their thing.
2 rings for this.
Yep, he's doing his shit. Peter was an all Big 8 conference player and an honorable mention All-American in his senior year. Finished his college career with 124 total tackles, 20 tackles for loss, and 9 sacks.
Shit.
And he's a big, scary guy. And, Jason says that he's ready to be a starter. He said, I got this. The next year he's going to be a starter. And he says, I got that because I've earned it, not because I'm Christian's little brother. I'm still Christian's little brother and always will be. Some people even confuse me with Grant Whitstrom. I remember that guy. Could never say his name. He's been in the NFL for 15 years. I could never say his name.
He's out now, and I think he's the commentator now, right?
Whitstrom, I guess it is. I want to put an N in there. I want it to be Winstrom, but it's not.
Wasn't he the old man that played for the Rams last year?
Yes, he played for everybody. He's all around. So Jason said, I also have confidence in my own personality and being my own person. If people don't notice me or just think I'm around because of my brother, that's okay. It's true I'm here because I always dreamed of playing next to my brother. Yeah. So. This is, he said also he thought he had it easier because he got the inside dirt from Christian of how to get along at Nebraska. Sure. Who to call when you've been charged with sexual assault, things like that.
He gave me a Rolodex of when you're in trouble, call these.
These are your lawyers. These are your PR people. He said, I knew John Perella and Kevin Ramakers and Terry Connolly when I was a redshirt, so I could ask questions right away. I could also study those guys as much as I wanted to learn defensive tackle. He said, I learned more than just football plays from Christian. He's a very intense player and knows a lot about the position. So there's a 48 Hours, the TV show, segment on basically Nebraska football criminals at that point, because they had Christian Peter and Lawrence Phillips on the team. So this between the two of them, they had like 20 arrests and all sorts of. Lawrence Phillips, didn't he like drag his girlfriend down the stairs by her hair? This guy's getting accused of rape. It's not good. About this whole thing, they asked Christian, and he said, I couldn't care less what people say. The people I care about are my teammates, coaches, and family. They've all been supportive of me. He says, I'm proud of what I've accomplished. Most of the things I'm said to have done, I haven't done them. It's all lies. I don't know how those women could go on national TV and say those things, but it never happened. But it didn't bother me. In a way, maybe that 48 Hours show took some of the pressure off Lawrence. Maybe that helped because it was on him a little bit. But this is after he's pled guilty to third-degree sexual assault and said all this other shit. But they're talking about the rape accusation that the lawsuit's coming out now. Mm-hmm. He said about the rapist label, quote unquote, he said, I don't think it was fair. He said, if those things all actually happened, wouldn't I be sitting here? Would I be sitting here? No, I'd be in jail. That's how it always works. Well, 15% of the time that happens, Christian. So he said that it's terrible to label him that. He said, I didn't receive any call from them at all. I'm going to give my side of the story. I'm going to come out when the time is right. It's been a pain in the you-know-what. But like they say, what are you going to do? The thing I can't understand is that something happened 3 years ago. Why is it coming back now? How did I get dragged into this thing?
This is all.
This motherfucker's tripping. Oh, wait.
He's a real victim.
Oh, wait till you hear his quote. There's more quotes. He's a asshole of a quote machine. July 1995, the lawsuit. He hasn't even played in the fucking NFL yet. Do you understand? He's still in college when this is all happening. The draft hasn't happened yet, but he's going for the draft next year. Yeah. He's talking about in July 1995, before this season, and they winning a national championship. That is when the lawsuit came out of Catherine Redmond at the time. She said that she was raped twice by him. It's that young lady. And Nebraska, though, Tom Osborne's people said, quote, we in no way turned our heads on this issue. We visited with Christian on several occasions and gathered all the information we could. Jesus. After Miss Redmond told the coach of her allegation, Osborne said he set up 2 separate appointments for her to confront Peter in his office. What?
Why?
So let me get this. Okay, hold on one second. I want to finish this thought, and then we're going to talk about this. Miss Redmond failed to keep either appointment. This is what Tom Osborne said, quote, I told her that I would have Christian in my office at an appointed time and date, and if she would verify that he assaulted her and identify him, I would then take action, as these were very serious charges. Since we were reasonably well acquainted, I assumed that she would be willing to do this if her statements were accurate. But since she didn't keep the appointment, he said he assumed her charges were, quote, rather suspect.
Unreal, man.
I told her, come into my office, not the police. Come to my... Who the fuck are you, Tom Osborne? Who do you fuck... What are you, Don Corleone? You think come in the fucking room and you'll sit down and I'll sort it out for you? Fuck you. Fuck you, motherfucker. I swear to God. Are you kidding me? What?
Come talk to him face to face.
How'd you like to sit in a small room with your rapist? Do you want to do that? Would that be fun for you?
Unbelievable.
The only time that should have to happen is in a fucking court of law. Outside of that, you shouldn't have to fucking sit. Yeah, come on down and sit with this giant fucking hulking, deep-breathing son of a bitch sitting 3 feet from you. It's cool. I'm here. A 70-year-old fucking man. I'm in between you, so you shouldn't have anything to fear at all.
Wild.
And then you identify him, and then I'll do what? I'll take action? What the fuck does that mean? You'll talk, have a chat with him?
Keep him off of you?
Yeah. Get the fuck out of here. Unbelievable. Wow. That is infuriating, Tom Osborne. You fuck. Is he dead? I hope he's fucking dead.
Let's Google him.
I know he got elected to Congress after he retired.
Stop it. With those kind of things? Unreal.
Yeah. It's Nebraska.
Saying those kind of things.
It's Nebraska. He could have jizzed on the stripper's face and they wouldn't have minded.
He was
it's
born
fucking
in
Nebraska.
37. This man might still be alive, James.
He's 85 right now
yeah,
if he is.
I think he's still alive. That's
well,
crazy.
There you go. So I wish fucking...
Nothing but the worst for you,
Nothing
Tom.
but the worst, huh? Why don't you eat some high salt and fat things right now? Start eating all McDonald's diet I'd like for you, Tom Osborne.
Oh, he died in 2007. No, 2007. He is still alive.
Fucking bastard. See? Look at that. So in a separate statement made by the athletic director, Bill Byrne, got to use these people's names when they say shit like that. He said that Miss Redmond and her father, Bill, did not raise the rape allegations during several conversations he had with them. He said Miss Redmond frequently visited the athletic department in her efforts to establish a lacrosse team at the University of Nebraska. In 1992, he informed her that the lacrosse team no longer could use Memorial Stadium to practice because the unofficial team was not covered by liability insurance. So, they said she took too long, and that's that. Now, Peter says... yes, we did have sex.
Yeah.
So he does not deny that, but he says it was consensual.
Yeah. That's what
and he said the Lincoln Police Department's decision not to file charges, in his opinion, cleared him from everything. Mm-hmm. And, And he said the only mistakes he made, this is what he said, the only mistake he made was not returning her calls. That pissed her off and made her say that he...
back and she's mad at me.
No, I don't think so. He said, the first time this happened in my dorm room after football practice, it happened a few nights later. After that, there were numerous phone calls, which I never returned. What I'm guilty of is not returning phone calls, not paying any attention to her. That was my fault. I was not acting like a gentleman. That was it. However long it's been, she's telling everyone that she was raped, and it's not true. So she files a suit saying the university tried to cover up the sexual assaults here. Right. She files a suit in U.S. District Court saying that he sexually assaulted her. It was witnessed by two men and all this type of stuff. So she alleges the university sought to protect Peter and the other men as well who touched her during assault. Ken Bello was the other man who allegedly touched her during the assault. She alleged that, this happened then and she didn't file it till December 1993. Her father also says that Bill Redmond, the fighter pilot there, the guy who did 200 bombing raids, he said he never talked to the coach. And he said he must have confused her with some other woman because
that's horrifying.
He said that's what I'm saying.
You've talked to so many victims, you're mixing up family members.
How many guys on that team? Like 100 guys on a college football team. How many fucking women are calling him going, this guy abused me? This is crazy. It's got to be a lot. Because it happens a lot.
The 3% of the population make up 19% of the sexual assaults of reported. So that number's got to be outrageous.
I think back then, especially, you're less likely to report it against an athlete if you go to that college because then you're going to be, it's a fishbowl and everyone's going to see you in that fishbowl at that point.
The number is outrageous. I guarantee it.
Osborne replied that there's no confusion on his part. He said he knew Miss Redmond well and repeated his comments that she twice agreed to meet with him. Tom Osborne said, I knew her by name and I knew her quite well. I know exactly who she was and what she said and what I said to her about meeting Christian. So he says you're full of shit too. Osborne said that, that's what he said, quote, she was up here on the floor in the football offices several times a week over a period of several months. That's why I was really quite shocked when she came in and told me someone had raped her 2 years before. He said he was reasonably well acquainted with the young lady, did Tom Osborne, and he said that he wanted to schedule the meeting to make sure she wasn't accusing the wrong person. Make sure it was really Christian.
I need you to look right in the man's face.
Yeah, and then say he raped me. He said if she had come in off the street and didn't know me, I could see where that would be threatening. I thought she knew me quite well and would trust me, therefore it would not be a terribly threatening matter for you. Are you fucking stupid?
Tom, you've clearly never been involved in any sort of rape.
Wow, that is wild. Jesus Christ. His mother, what does his mother say about this?
Oh, she's got to be furious.
His mother says that she knows he has the reputation for being a character, but she describes him as a sensitive, caring individual who's just misunderstood. She said, I've often thought it was too bad people don't get to know him better instead of just judging him from his physical appearance. and all of his rape charges.
He
you know
looks
how that
like
goes.
a rapist.
Yeah.
It's real hard to walk down the street sometimes.
His appearance while he's jerking off on a fucking stripper's forehead while someone holds her down is that's a weird appearance.
People judge him on it. It's misunderstood.
July 1995, the University of Nebraska settles her lawsuit with Redmond. Settles her. It was a federal Title IX sex discrimination lawsuit. In the end, here, this is a different one here. It was the first to specifically charge an institution with sexual discrimination caused by indifference. So it was a big deal. They said that it was a big deal, basically. She said the threats and the psychological pressure were wearing her down. She got depressed. This is Redmond, quote, "I did the self-mutilation thing where I would cut myself everywhere with pieces of glass." Yikes. "I was bulimic. I used any utensil to throw up. At one point, I was so desperate that I took shears and got lacerations in my throat. It was a psychological mess. It took me 7 years of counseling to be somewhat normal." She received a $50,000 out-of-court settlement with Nebraska, along with an undisclosed settlement as well. $50,000 was like for medical care, and like the other undisclosed was to,
bury the hatchet. Yeah,
I guess that's what they were trying to do here. So, they were saying how she said she's grateful to. Later on, we'll talk about she'll be grateful to the people of Boston. She says later on.
Giving her a new chance or something?
Well, what happens to him coming up, she says, quote, he felt, wow, this is fucking, he said, this is how she'll thank the people of Boston for something that happens in about a month here. She says, "For truly making a difference in my court case and my life. Their reaction was a life-saving event. Boston did what no city has ever done when it came to a problem player. He felt... he, meaning Peter, felt just a little twinge of what it's like to be raped." That's what she says about him. Okay.
What did Boston do to Christian?
It's great. March 1996, 1 month before the NFL draft, okay? He's got to be on his best behavior. There are rape accusations. His college is settling lawsuits. He's got convictions. Him and a dozen teammates were in a bar after attending a banquet hosted by the Platte Valley Big Red Booster Club in Kearney. According to an employee who was on duty there, who was a Nebraska fan, by the way, most of the Cornhuskers here were considerate and polite, but Peter was, quote, drunk and obnoxious and spent the entire evening in a corner booth, quote, yelling at just about any girl who walked by. His targets included Janet Muse, who's 21, former student there, Amber Roth, a cheerleader at Nebraska Kearney. And, they said that he remembers, he said to Muse, quote, "Are you going to be my bitch tonight?" That's his come-on line. Either he takes his dick out
choice.
or asks if you're going to be my bitch tonight. So he's a charmer. Yeah. He's a real fucking charmer, we'll say. He said, "Flowers? Yeah. Candy? No. You going to be my bitch tonight? No? Here's my dick, though. What about that? How about now?" The fuck? She is 5 foot tall, 95 pounds. She, I guess, got up to leave. Peter grabbed her by the neck.
Yikes.
Which had to be terrifying. The other young lady, who's a friend of Muse, said that Peter also made obnoxious and obscene passes at her, and at one point started pointing at women around the room, saying out loud to the women, "You're a pig, you're a pig, you're a pig." Then, as they would walk away disgusted, he would say, "You all love me."
Why is he so mad at women?
Dude, he's a fucking asshole.
Why is he so mad?
They said after Peter and his teammates left, then Muse and Roth called the police. Peter's group went to another downtown bar where, according to the bartender, Peter grabbed a bunch of women's asses at this bar. He's still groping people in public. Hasn't learned.
Who taught him
shit.
This? Who told him
That's what I mean.
Okay?
It's very odd. It doesn't seem like that's the environment he came from, but maybe, I don't know. Another person out there, a witness, said that Peter was, quote, drunk, belligerent, and a complete jackass. So, they called, eventually the Kearney police arrived, called Peter outside the bar, and cited him for third-degree assault for grabbing the woman's neck. Yeah. Then they all left, all the players. Peter's lawyer, same asshole, Hal Anderson is his name.
Oh, boy.
Said that Peter denies all allegations. One guy, Mike Irwin, says that he was out with Peter throughout the evening, and Peter was, quote, completely nice. Completely nice. This is crazy time.
So kind.
He said it's ridiculous. They also, many people said that, there's another one. Amy Jacobson. Oh, she said the 3rd degree assault. Okay, never mind. So they said Christian denies anything like this happened. They said when Christian goes out, he makes sure he's never alone. That's on the advice of a lot of people because he's become sort of a target. He's become a target. That's pretty wild.
Behind the closed doors of government offices and military compounds, there are hidden stories and buried secrets from the darkest corners of history. From covert experiments pushing the boundaries of science to operations so secretive they were barely whispered about. Each week, on Redacted, Declassified Mysteries, we pull back the curtain on these hidden histories. 100% true and verifiable stories that expose the shadowy underbelly of power. Consider Operation Paperclip, where former Nazi scientists were brought to America after World War II, not as prisoners, but as assets to advance U.S. intelligence during the Cold War. These aren't just old conspiracy theories. They're thoroughly investigated accounts that reveal the uncomfortable truths still shaping our world today. The stories are real. The secrets are shocking. Follow Redacted, Declassified Mysteries on the Wondery app or wherever you get your podcasts. You can listen to Redacted early and ad-free right now on Wondery Plus.
He was hip-hop's biggest mogul, the man who redefined fame, fortune, and the music industry.
The first male rapper to be honored on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Sean Diddy Combs.
Diddy built an empire and lived a life most people only dream about.
Everybody know ain't no party like a Diddy party, so.
Yeah, that's what's up.
But just as quickly as his empire rose, it came crashing down.
Today I'm announcing the unsealing of a 3-count indictment, charging Sean Combs with racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking, interstate transportation for prostitution.
I was up. I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses. I'm disgusted. I'm so sorry.
Until you're wearing an orange jumpsuit, it's not real. Now it's real.
From his meteoric rise to his shocking fall from grace, from law and crime, this is the rise and fall of Diddy. Listen to the rise and fall of Diddy exclusively with Wondery Plus.
So, yeah, there we are. So that's what he's doing there. That's a month beforehand. According to the police, they received 2 calls related to Peter that night. The first was for the incident at Einstein's, the neck grabbing, and the second was for his ass grabbing at Cunningham's. He had the cops called on him twice at 2 different fucking places by different people.
Not the bagel joint? This is a bar, Einstein's?
A bar called Einstein's.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wish it was a bagel joint.
Just hanging out shit-faced grabbing asses at the bagel joint? That'd be really weird. You going to be my bitch tonight? I just came in for a poppy seed. What the fuck?
I'll grab you by the fleshy bagel. Come here.
It's 7:30 a.m. Let me drink my coffee. Leave me alone, weirdo. So that's what twice. That is fucking wild.
The same night.
The same night, the Muse woman, Miss Muse, told the paper that she approached Peter's table where she began talking to one of the other people there. She said that Peter made derogatory remarks to her, grabbed her around the neck as she prepared to leave, and that she and her sister were pretty shook up about it. Yeah. They said that, judging by his background too, they're lucky they got away with that. True. Essentially, they said that definitely alcohol played a part in the behavior. He was really drunk. His friend, though, Peter's friend, said that he wasn't stumbling around. He was pretty quiet. We were just talking about football back in Jersey. He was all around nice. Not asking anybody to be their bitch, to be his bitch at all. But the Muse woman said, that's what happened, but it's been a long couple of days for me, and I don't really want to talk about it anymore right now, she told the paper. So then they said that, or his friend, Christian Peter's friend said, quote, the kid is kind of a celebrity. Nothing much happens in Kearney, and I think some people were just trying to take advantage of it and make some waves. I thought it was nice that people were coming up to him all night, and he showed the poise to say thanks. For this to happen to him is incredible. What the fuck? Super out of the realm of ordinary for him to do that, right?
The poise.
At one point when they were, she came over, talked to somebody else.
Yeah.
He asked her to sit down. Then she called him, quote, you're Christian Peter the rapist, is what Muse said.
Atta girl.
So then he grabbed her by the back of the neck when she tried to leave. That's that's the accusation here. Now, on the rape charges and everything else, this is what he says about everything that's been happening to him. Quote, I have nothing to hide. I've been accused of some major allegations. All are lies. I have used some poor judgment in some situations. I don't know. This one, she comes out 5 years later and there was no criminal charges, and so she files a civil suit right before I'm about to go into the NFL draft and come across some money. Anyone with a decent head on their shoulders can see what's going on. These girls say they're the victim. The victim is Christian Peter. Then he says, Christian Peter is not the victim. I'm Attila the Hun. Well, no, he's being sarcastic about saying he's not the victim. He's saying he is the victim. Christian Peter's not the victim. I'm Attila the Hun. I'm not some barbarian that runs around going crazy. To know me is to love me.
Oh, my God. To know you is dangerous, man. To be in your presence is frightening.
He's like a top 10 asshole in terms of personality at this point, right? For us. They talk about steroids also. This is after his career. Yeah. And he said that, quote, when you're 18, 19, 20 years old and playing on national championship teams and winning and winning and winning, you can't do anything wrong. Sometimes that gets to your head, and obviously it got to my head. And with other problems that have not been identified at the time, it was a recipe for disaster. He said steroid use in high school could have contributed to his anger. He said it could have, possibly. I don't know, but it could have. He said that he started taking them between his junior and senior year of high school and gained 40 to 50 pounds.
Uh-huh.
Hence that film Nebraska saw was a roided-up giant man throwing children out of the way.
Right. And is he now trying to blame his shit behavior on CTE now that other things are being found?
Just steroids. He's just he said that he didn't take steroids in college and the NFL because he was scared it would be detected and he'd get kicked out. So... he said that in Nebraska, he was just huge because he was still growing and he liked to eat all the good workout food at Nebraska. So that made him gain weight. So finally the draft comes up, and his stock has dropped quite a bit in the last couple months, as you might imagine here. Number one player, 1996 NFL draft, Jimmie.
1996?
6.
Holy shit. Is it the blonde fuck that played for the Chargers?
No, he's definitely not blonde. We'll say that.
Who is it?
Keyshawn Johnson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Keyshawn, number one by the Jets. Yeah. Kevin Hardy with Jacksonville, number 2. Simeon Rice, Arizona, number 3. The best pick of the lot here is Baltimore, number 4, Jonathan Ogden, who's a future Hall of Famer and who played for like fucking 48 years in the NFL. Okay. Did great. Cedric Jones, number 5 by the Giants. Number 6 overall, Lawrence Phillips.
Oh, shit.
Going to the Rams. Terry Glenn, Tim Biakabatuka, Willie Anderson. Who else we got here? John Mobley, Reggie Brown. 19 is Marvin Harrison, Hall of Famer as well.
Yeah. And his son is doing great now, too.
Oh, yeah.
His
Absolutely.
son's amazing.
Number 26 overall is Ray Lewis, another Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
So, great job, Giants. They took Cedric Jones when they could have taken Ray Lewis. Thanks, guys. Good job.
Or Marvin Harrison.
Or any of those fucking people that were good that we didn't have. Finally, round 5 comes around.
Yeah.
5. 5th round, number 149th overall. Christian Peter is selected.
Wow.
That's a drop by the New England Patriots.
Oh.
Yes. Now, on draft day, they tell the press this. This is player personnel director Bobby Greer. We were well aware of his off-the-field problems. We did our normal investigation. They said they spent a day and a half with him in Nebraska and did an individual workout in addition to speaking to him at the combine. They said, quote, we know that this is a bit of a controversial pick for us, but Peter understands what this organization stands for and that we're not going to stand for any of those shenanigans off the field. He called
rapist shenanigans?
Shenanigans off the field or anything that's going to be put in a bad light on this franchise or the community. He understands that. It will be reiterated when Christian's here in our mini camps. Coach Bill Parcells, who was the head coach at that point, says that he believes Peter will stay out of trouble as a pro. God damn it. He says, I think once he gets in a good, solid structure, everything will be fine. I know Osborne very well myself, having known him since 1964. I think he'll do well here.
Unreal. The shenanigans of a rapist.
So, yeah, apparently the Robert Kraft was faxed a copy of an SI story a couple days later and said they would look into the matter because I guess the NFL security investigator apparently downplayed the latest incident to the Patriots. So 1 week later, after a firestorm from fans, groups, and even Myra Kraft, who is the now deceased wife of Robert Kraft, who was super pissed off about this whole thing, the Patriots renounce his draft rights a week after the draft. He's the only guy ever
around his house going, Myra going, you drafted that guy?
He's like, fine, I'll get rid of him, okay? Jesus Christ, this is so much stress. I need a hand job. So much stress.
Only a sex slave will do, for Christ's sake.
Only a fucking, yes.
A trafficked woman.
He's the only guy to be undrafted I've ever heard of. I've never heard of anybody undrafted.
We threw this one back.
De-drafted. He's not big enough yet. So they said after learning more about his history, they renounced his rights a week after. They said that his behavior was incompatible with our organization's standards of acceptable conduct.
That is awesome.
It is the first time in NFL history that a drafted player has been waived by a team before the start of training camp.
Is that right?
It's never, ever, ever, ever happened before. What other, unless they killed somebody in the month before training camp starts. So no other team expressed interests at that point. And since then, the Patriots have adopted, at least publicly, a zero-tolerance policy for sexual assault as well.
Good for them.
He says that the Patriots knew everything about his past, Christian said. He said it's bullshit. He said, I guess they said they didn't know what they were getting into. Personally, I find that hard to believe, especially with all the publicity surrounding what happened to me. What a narcissist. Like they sat around looking at your newspaper clippings in 1993.
Happened to me.
Happened to me. Think of the words. Think of the words he's using and how he's saying it. I thought teams usually investigate someone before they draft him, not after. I understand it's a business and they were only doing what they thought they had to do. So, by the way, that's what the woman was talking about when she said maybe he feels a twinge of what it's like to be raped now. Right. I don't think it's that bad. But
they raped him of a career. That's pretty rad.
The Patriots spokesman said Bob was involved, meaning Kraft. Bob was involved in the drafting process and was advised this was a player that was okay to draft. They went on to say, we were flawed in our investigation. They said that, they said that it would have been more complete if Peter was considered a top 15 pick, but for anybody outside the first round, it's not quite the same level of investigation because it's not the same level of monetary investment.
Right.
There's no huge guaranteed money going into anybody. Peter said, quote, when I was at the February scouting combine, I had interviews with them and discussed every single incident I was involved in. That's why I find it hard to believe that they said that. Now, the other shit happened after the combine, though, stupid. You ever think of that? Yeah. Maybe the fucking neck and ass grabbing that happened a fucking 2 months later might have affected them. Jesus Christ, that's crazy. They said the background checks we're talking about have nothing to do with football. This is the Patriots, or this is the NFL. It's a thorough background check that's common in many companies, especially with highly compensated employees. They said about the whole thing, it was a serious incident, no doubt about that, but it didn't remove him from our potential draft list. But then after the draft, Kraft was given the article saying that he was on 18-month probation and all that sort of thing, and he said that, at that point was too much. They also showed him the 48 hours piece and all this sort of shit, and it's pretty. The Detroit Lions said that they were aware before the draft of everything, and that's why they didn't draft him.
We heard about it. How did you not hear about it?
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. So why didn't you do that? So I don't know why the hell that ended up happening, but Robert Kraft said, quote, part of the fault lies with our investigation. Part lies with the NFL security and NFL security people. They've called to tell me they're sorry. He said that, it's fine. He said, we stand for certain principles and we're trying to do things in a certain way. Once we knew we've made a mistake, we decided that we wouldn't cover it up. And Christian says, I just wish I could have sat down with them and they could have talked to me face to face to find out what kind of person I am.
I'm really good at manipulating and getting my way.
If you just all come into Tom Osborne's office and we'll all sit there, and I'm sure Tom will make it better for us all, right?
Yeah, I can manipulate you into thinking that I'm a decent person.
Jesus Christ. Then Christian went on to say I wasn't investigated thoroughly by the Patriots is a total lie. Total lie. He said, I know the truth. The Patriots know the truth. It's obvious they're covering it up. I've been more scrutinized than the President of the United States.
What?
Whoever did this is a coward.
Whoever did this?
So he pleads guilty to a sexual assault now for grabbing women and grabbing the throat. It's an assault, I think, not a sexual assault. This is the grabbing the woman by the neck here. And on May 21st, 1996, after he's been drafted and cut, he has to go to court here. Sure. He acknowledges that he had has a drinking problem and apologized to the woman he's accused of grabbing by the throat. He said, it was obvious I was wrong. He said, I can't make it better. I know Christian, Peter, and alcohol don't mix. Third person in court. I've really made a mistake, and I'm sorry. I don't plan on drinking ever again.
Booze did this?
Booze, this is all booze, he said. He is sentenced to, you, sir, may fuck off, 10 days in jail, and $300 fine. That's what he gets. He said, quote, I will live in infamy among sports trivia as the only player undrafted from the NFL. He said it too. That's hilarious. Christian.
Maybe I'll be a Jeopardy clue one day.
Yeah, it'll happen. So that's how it goes. And he is just, now he's fucked. He did all that and he's, and now he got drafted and now, he's cut. And if the team that drafted you, they don't get another draft pick now.
Right. They just lost something too.
Fifth round, they expect a guy that's going to be on the team in the fifth round.
My friend, they got Tom Brady a couple rounds later,
like in the sixth round.
Yeah. This is a big deal. This is a problem.
It's a big fucking deal to just be given away by a team and have nobody else come to claim you because you're that toxic.
Right.
You might as well have fumes coming off of you. You're like rolled in shit at this point. So
that's bad.
He has no idea what to do with himself. He doesn't know. He's wandering around going, what the fuck? Where do I work? Yeah. At one point, he goes and he's maitre d' for Fromageria for a while. He is. For like weekends, he'll go back and maitre d' and shit to make a couple of bucks. He's got nothing going on for him. Doesn't know what to do. One day, he's just walking down the street. He's got to work at the Fromagerie later on. Yeah. Walking down the street, and I'll be goddamned if he doesn't smell something good. And he's trying to keep his weight up. And he opens a door. And he finds what he's looking for. It's the shawarma man standing right before him. Right there. Christian's very surprised. And he says, how is it you've come to arrive here? Why are you here? You should be NFL play on TV. Go with all the guys and the women with the kick in the air and the pom-pom. And they go, you fucking moron. Why you do? No! Hey! Go back inside. Go in kitchen. Get back. No. Sorry, my daughter tried to come out. I don't want her in the same room with you. I treat her like basically Godzilla come in here with fire and whoosh and set place on fire because that's who you are to me. You're like a Godzilla type creature and you come from the sea and, you take a girl and you finger with big hand and, take dick out, wave it around. We don't have that in here.
Take what you want.
Say, you don't pillage around here. No. Signs say closed. You go. No, not for you. I no make for you. You go. I'm sorry. I can't have. No, you go. Get out. And Christian's very upset. He was going to order a lot of shawarma. So he's like, I could have been a great customer.
I've got a big appetite, man.
I'm huge. So he doesn't play for the 96 season. After the 96 season, though, after everything's kind of died down a little bit.
Yeah.
The New York Giants start sniffing around.
Oh, boy.
They're like, we had LT. How bad can he be, really? You know what I mean? So they end up signing him to a free agent deal, and they get him cheap as fuck because nobody wants him. Yeah. So under the condition that he go through counseling for substance abuse and his attention deficit disorder and anger management. He had to apologize for his behavior while at Nebraska and all of that. He says, quote, Christian says, quote, they, meaning the Giants, did their homework on me and are aware of my past problems. I'm confident I can overcome them and be a good football player and even a role model off the field.
Okay.
He's been working with Dr. Joel Goldberg, a psychologist whom the Giants use as a consultant, and Peter said that with Goldberg's help, he's been able to admit that he's an alcoholic and started to deal with that fact. Yeah, he said, one of my biggest problems was I didn't realize I was an alcoholic. Now that I know I am and that I can't drink, that will make things different.
No, you've said earlier that it was the booze. You've blamed this before.
No, he didn't know, though. He knew then, but not now, then, Whenever it happens, it's this booze, it's evil. I got to stop this.
I know that I make bad decisions on the booze, but I didn't know that I needed the booze until just
realize.
Right now.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
He said, every time I got into trouble, I was under the influence of alcohol. Attention deficit disorder magnifies the effects of alcohol.
What?
I don't know.
Is that real?
That. I don't know. I have no idea. But doctors who listen to this, if there is any.
I don't know if that's true.
I don't know if that's true or not. Sounds like bullshit, but it might be true. Who knows?
It smells like bullshit.
It sounds like something that just some asshole would say, but I could be wrong. I'm not a doctor.
Sounds like something an asshole who's looking for an excuse and a fresh start would say that doesn't realize that rape equals no fresh start.
No fresh start. Hey, I'm not taking any shots here, but Jesus Christ.
You don't just get to start over because you're an alcoholic.
No shit. He says, I have no complaints. I'll take each day as it comes. So he said about the Giants, he was happy because the Giants are his childhood team. He's a Jersey guy.
Yeah.
He said, I'm their biggest fan, and I knew if I kept my nose clean and did what Dr. Goldberg told me to do, I'd get a shot with the Giants. He has pledged to behave appropriately there. He said that he, quote, has to be, quote, very selective with the people I associate with, selective with the relationships I have. He said, alcohol's like poison to me. So there you go.
Allergic.
Yeah. He said he wanted to speak to women's groups after the 97 season.
No, we don't want you around mass amounts of women.
Then they said, what would you tell them? And he said, I don't know. Be afraid. Be very. Hey, look at my dick. That's what he said to him.
I want to talk
Who wants
to
to be my bitch
groups
tonight?
I want to talk to groups of women. That's what I said. Not women's groups. Just shitloads of women.
Just gather them up for me, like fish in a barrel.
And
that
have
type.
my
You know
own
what I mean?
pick. You know what I mean.
Oh my God. So
what would you say? I don't know.
I don't know.
I didn't think that far ahead. I didn't expect you to ask that question. I was just trying to look like a good person.
I didn't think of what I should say. So they asked somebody with a women's group, would that be welcomed? And they said, quote, if he's just going to tell women it was alcohol, he'll get a very bad reaction.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be talking to battered women anyway. He should be talking to young men, telling them what he did was wrong and it can't be tolerated.
There you go. Yahtzee.
Yeah, yay. Right answer.
That's how you fix things.
Rang that fucking bell. Christian said, quote, I'm not going to lie, it does cross my mind. What happens if I do pick up a drink? There's been a couple times over the last 13 months I've wanted a drink. Alcohol basically is poison to me. I know when I pick up a drink, my behavior's unpredictable. I can't afford to take that chance anymore.
Yeah.
So 1997 season starts. Talk about good now. His quote is, quote, I'm a totally different person than a year ago. He's been like 6 people already. This is wild. He's
like 26 years old.
He's just shedding skins like a snake. He said, I've been sober for a year. I'm a totally different person when I'm sober than when I'm under the influence of alcohol. Some of the things I've done, I've owned up to. I've apologized. I'm recovering. Yeah. Some. I have a problem. I've hurt a lot of people. I'm sorry for all of that. Blanket sorry.
I want to talk to women.
Want to talk to women's groups or anything like that, maybe?
What would you say? Oh shit!
I don't know.
I will never get over that question, answer, reply. That's amazing.
I don't know. I'd like to really talk to women's groups. Oh, really? What would you say? Oh, I don't know. You know, that was exactly what the general energy of the exchange was. Oh, I don't know.
I thought we would stop the conversation right there.
You're like, wow, this guy is super he's super sensitive. He really gets it. But you want to know what I would say to them, actual words.
I wish I was there. I want to see his face.
How do you feel about being called bitches? That's not good. Can't just be like, what's up, bitches? Okay.
No, what I want to do is just apologize to each woman individually, even if I've never met them. Maybe if they all take their breasts out, we'll all be more comfortable. Anybody agree with me? Just everybody, let's all just take our breasts out now and just let the breeze touch our nipples, and we'll all just... Oh, that would have been just an amazing moment to watch reality hit him right in the fucking face.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I'm just...
Shit, you son of a bitch.
Things, I could say things. You know how it works.
I didn't expect that question. I'm sorry.
Some stuff, and other times I'll just say things, but stuff and things. I feel like that's what needs to be said right now. More stuff.
Fucking best thing ever.
What we need now is more stuff said. Also things. We could say things as well. Stuff,
and
things.
If we say enough things and do enough stuff, that we might get to a resolution. That's what I need.
I feel like it'll all end then. All the bad will end as long as we say the right things and the right stuff. We can put an end to badness.
Real good place.
It's a good place to be. Thank you. I've been Christian Peter, everybody. Thank you.
Fucking asshole.
Anybody wants to have a couple of drinks, I'm going to be down at the TGI Fridays down the block there. Thanks, guys.
That reporter had to be like, oh, you're a fucking asshole. That's what
you're a douchebag. I get it. Huge douche. Okay. Huge tool. All right, now I understand. So, 1997 Giants, they're 10-5-1.
Not bad.
And, they're a terrible team, though. The quarterbacks this year, Danny Cannell and Dave Brown.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I remember watching this. This was a couple of years after Phil Simms retired, and I was like, I would rather watch Phil Simms with a terrible concussion play quarterback. Like a
rag arm.
An awfully concussed Jeff Hostetler would be well above what I got going on right now with these guys.
Where'd Cannell come from? Was he in
Florida
Cleveland?
State?
No,
State.
Did they draft him?
I think they drafted him, and Dave Brown, who was from Duke.
Mm-hmm.
Two places quarterbacks don't really come from.
Yeah.
Jameis Winston, Florida State. There you go. They're usually a defense producing school. Also Tyrone Wheatley, the Michigan running back there on that team. Charles Way, I remember big back there. Tiki Barber was playing all the way the fuck back then too. Rodney Hampton. Look at all those running backs. Jesus Christ, that's a lot of running backs. Anyway, he is 90. He plays in 7 games that year, and Christian does compiles a half a sack and a couple of tackles. Nothing much. They didn't play him most of the time. They kind of kept him they just wanted to make sure he could not get arrested.
Yeah.
They didn't want him to be too associated with the Giants in case he got arrested. So let's get his toe in the water here. 1998 draft. By the way, I will tell you 1998 quickly just to go over, because every one of these drafts they tell you like what ended up happening that year.
Yeah.
MVP that year, Terrell Davis. This was Jimmie's favorite year ever.
Oh, it was the second Super Bowl.
Super Bowl champion Broncos.
Yeah. Oh,
Davis,
God,
the MVP. Offensive rookie of the year, Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Remember him when he was a rookie, a beast.
Good. Yeah.
Defensive player of the year, Charles Woodson.
Yeah.
The rookie of the year. Offensive player of the year, Terrell Davis. Defensive player of the year, Reggie White. Wow. Passing leader, Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Rushing leader, Terrell Davis, 2008 yards. Receiving leader, guess the receiving leader, Jimmie.
In 98?
98.
Was it Rod Smith?
Nope, Antonio Freeman, Packers.
Oh, shit.
Yep, 1,400
the Packers
yards.
were such a big deal, man. That year they were so big.
1998 draft, I know you know this draft, so we won't quiz you here. 98 draft, number 1 overall, Peyton Manning.
Was it really?
Yeah, Peyton Manning, number 198.
98?
Absolutely. Ryan Leaf, number 2 overall.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. What's the daisy?
Then the Cardinals drafted Andre Wadsworth, who was a bust.
Yeah.
And
was
he was a bust.
Wadsworth was bad?
Yeah, he wasn't a good player.
Oh.
I think he his whole career he had 82 tackles and 8 sacks.
He's not good.
Especially considering number 4 player was Charles Woodson, who's in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
So not very good there. Other than that, Randy Moss, number 21. Alan Fenica, the Hall of Fame offensive guard, goes to Pittsburgh. Otherwise, number 14 overall, Carolina Panthers select Jason Peter that year.
Yeah.
All right. So 98. The Giants are 8-8. They suck. Peter Christian plays in all 16 games, starts 6, has 1 sack, 32 tackles.
He's not good.
He's not doing great, but he was a force after a while. Jason on Carolina, they're 4-12.
Yeah.
This is the Steve Berline, Kerry Collins.
This is
era.
the expansion. No, that was years before. Never mind.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago. They were an expansion team. They played well at first, and then it kind of went downhill there.
Yeah.
He plays in 14 games, starts 11. He has 1 sack and 33 tackles.
Oh.
So we're talking 1 sack and 32 tackles or 1 sack and 33 tackles. They had the exact same production, the brothers, that year.
Fascinating.
That's wild. 99, Christian playing for the Giants. They're 7-9. The only thing the 99 Giants did, or 98 Giants did, was beat the undefeated Bronco team that was 13-0 coming in.
Yeah.
That's all they did.
Okay.
Otherwise,
So
they
98
were
was
garbage.
the year they beat the Packers, and then the next year they had to beat the Falcons, which was
the
just
99
the
Super Bowl.
easiest coast to a Super Bowl
That
in the
was
history of the NFL.
Super easy. Christian this year plays in all 16 games, starts 10, has no sacks, does have 26 tackles, has a fumble recovery return for a touchdown as well.
Okay.
Michael Strahan says this about Christian.
Oh, he played with him.
Oh, yeah. Quote, "You read the papers about somebody before they ever come to your team, and I think we were programmed as players not to like Christian Peter because of Christian's past and everything that he had supposedly been into.
Oh,
and
Michael.
as he got here, we gave him a chance. From Christian, I've learned that it's never too late to turn yourself around, and everyone deserves a second chance if they're really wanting to take advantage of it. He straightened himself out, and I'm glad to call him my teammate, and I'm glad to call him my friend."
Oh, Mike, no, don't say that.
Mike is putting himself way out on. Well, he never thought he was going to like host Good Morning America or some shit either. I don't, whatever the fuck he does
Sitting
now.
there with fucking Kathy Lee.
Hosting game shows and shit. Kelly Ripa.
Kelly Ripa.
Yeah,
It's Kelly.
I think he thought that was going to happen. Christian said, "This organization really cares about its players. I can't emphasize enough that this is a great place to play. I'm very fortunate and lucky. I did a lot of things I wasn't proud of, embarrassed a lot of people that were close to me, including myself, my family. The list goes on." Yeah, it does. But it's where you go from here. Jason, on the other hand, only plays in 9 games for Carolina that year. Starts all 9, has 4.5 sacks and 32 tackles. So not bad for 9 games. Yeah. 2000, Christian plays for the Giants. He's 12. They're 12-4 that year. They beat the Eagles 20-10 in the first round of the playoffs. Then I remember this was like, what the fuck? They beat the shit out of the Vikings in the NFC Championship game, 41-0.
Jesus.
Drubbing.
They shut out the Vikings.
And the Vikings were like the team to beat in the NFC that year. They fucking
Right.
thumped them. I think they were 14-2 or some shit. They were great.
Unbelievable.
And then they go to the Super Bowl to play the Ravens to get shit hammered by the Ravens 34-7. They got handled well. That's, one of the best defenses of all time and all that shit. That was tough. By the way, Jim Fossil's the head coach, offensive coordinator Sean Payton, defensive coordinator John Fox.
Is that right?
Yeah, that
a
was
bunch of head coaches.
Bunch of head coaches there. That year, Christian plays all 16 games, starts 15 of them, 1 sack, 40 tackles. I don't know what he's doing here. Not doing well. His brother, Jason, plays 9 games, starts 0 games. 2 sacks, 12 tackles. What the fuck is going on? 2001, Christian goes to Indianapolis. The Giants are underwhelmed with him. The Colts that year, that was when they had Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison and Edgerrin James and nothing else. So they were just, it was a tough team. They were only 6-10 that year. The Peyton Manning-led team there. Mark Rippon was his backup.
Is that right?
Can't believe he was still in the league then. That's crazy. Christian plays 14 games, starts 0, 1 sack, 16 tackles. Jason, 2001 for the Panthers. Panthers go 1-15 that year, by the way.
Jesus.
Here is their quarterbacking for that year. Chris Wenke started 15 games. He had a 54% completion percentage with 11 touchdowns and 19 picks. Matt Little played in a couple of games. He had 1 touchdown, 3 picks. Damon Craig was in a couple of games. He had no touchdowns and no picks. Not good. It's bad stuff. Jason only plays in 6 games, starts 0. 0 sacks, 11 tackles. He has been he's a top 15 overall draft pick, and he has played in 38 games in 4 years and has 7.5 sacks.
Holy shit.
This is it. That's the end of his career. Jason's done.
Ouch.
Jason is done. He is out.
Is he injured? Is that body wear? What is that?
This is, well, you want to find out what it is?
Yeah, I do.
Because he wrote a whole book about it.
Oh, did he?
It's called Hero of the Underground by Jason Peter. And I'm going to read you a big fat excerpt of it.
Oh, boy.
And you can find out exactly what was wrong with Jason. So here goes. This is from his book, Hero of the Underground. If you're interested in a really gritty, wild story, I do recommend it to you because it's interesting, man. And he's real and he's raw and he's very honest. So he says, quote, "I wasn't afraid of death. How could I be? I lived under death's shadow every day. When you swallow 60 Vicodin, 20 sleeping pills, drink a bottle of vodka, and still survive, a certain sense of invulnerability stays with you."
Is that a suicide attempt or is that just a day?
A little of both.
Oh, my God.
He doesn't really care, so if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, whatever.
What is that about?
When you continually use drugs with the kind of reckless determination that I did, the limit to how much heroin or crack you can ingest is not defined by dollar amounts, but the amounts your body can withstand without experiencing a seizure or respiratory failure.
Holy shit.
Because he's a number 1 draft pick. He had a lot of fucking money.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Christian never had enough money to get in trouble. He said, yet at the end of every binge, every night of lining up 6, 7, 8 crack pipes and hitting them one after the other, bam, 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 every night of smoking and snorting bag after bag of heroin, after all that, when you still wake up to see the same dirty sky over you as the night before, you start to think that instead of dying, maybe your punishment is to live, to be stuck in this purgatory of self-abuse and misery for an eternity. Sometimes you start to think that death would become a blessed relief. Wow. I found myself contemplating death again. Only this time I wasn't going to leave it to chance. I was going to buy a gun, load the thing, place the barrel in my mouth, and blow my fucking brains out. I sat on my parents' sofa as I pondered this. All I needed was a gun. And all of my problems would be solved. And he's got dashes in there. This had all started the night before. It started the way that life-shattering events like suicides or murders usually begin, with something so small, something so meaningless that it's almost comical. It started with an argument over a television program. Diane had been on my last goddamn nerve. I don't know if that's his wife or girlfriend, one of the two. Ever since we had driven from my apartment building in New York to my folks' house in New Jersey. They were out of town and had asked me to stay there to watch the house and look after the dogs. Our heroin habits were out of control, so we talked it over and decided that we would take this opportunity to kick dope. So get out of the city. We're in this house. We have a few days. We can fucking, at least get it out of. We can detox.
They're a heroin team together too. This is a bad relationship.
That's dope. We've seen Dope Sick Love, and you know how that works.
Not good.
It's not good. The plan was this: we would take a small amount of heroin with us. Week 1, I would start to kick. Diane would use just enough dope to not get sick and so that she would be able to look after me and get me through the worst of the physical symptoms. Then, when I was feeling better, Diane would kick and I would nurse her back to health. It seemed like a simple, obvious plan. What could possibly go wrong?
The fuck are you talking about?
Everything. Everything can go wrong with that plan. Everything.
Shit.
I could name 20 things that could go wrong with that plan off the top of my head.
I'm going to be sick for 2 weeks, and then when I'm not sick any longer, I'm going to help her not be sick.
Then she can,
And then
because I'll be all better.
And all is well.
And we walk home into the sunset with birds chirping.
Drug-free.
So
oh, boy.
He says, we barricaded ourselves in my parents' house. I had gotten a prescription for a new drug called Subutex from one of my doctors, a little white tablet that dissolves under the tongue.
It's awesome.
Supposedly would help with the withdrawals.
Yeah, it does.
I also had Xanax to help me sleep. Diane carried the heroin and cocaine, and I resigned myself to a very unpleasant 7 days. Yeah. By the time I reached day 3, the huge flaw in my plan became apparent. Withdrawal sickness. Took you 3 days for that to come out?
The huge
By the time I reached day 3. Oh, my God. Jesus Christ. Withdrawal sickness tends to come to a peak around the 3rd or 4th day. You're vomiting, shitting yourself, your body's twitching and spasming so hard you can involuntarily throw yourself out of bed. You feel like you have white hot sulfur in your veins instead of blood, and your brain is literally screaming out for some heroin to take the pain away. As all of this was going on, in would walk Diane, high as a fucking kite.
You bitch!
You bitch! Her pupils like pinpricks, slurring her words.
Yeah.
I knew that in her purse there was enough shit to take all my pain away. All I had to do was ask. You see, the relationship with Diane was not exactly an equal partnership. I knew at the end of the day, if I asked her, she would have to give it to me because she knew that if she pissed me off too much and I kicked her out, she'd be left with nothing except a drug habit she had no way of being able to support. Diane had been a dancer when I met her, a truly beautiful girl with a body that could drive a man insane. She was also a very sweet, kind-hearted person. She came into my life like so many of the others. We met at a club, we exchanged messages, and one day she turned up at my apartment with 2 or 3 other girls to party. Yeah, that's how most relationships start. Right? Isn't that how you met your first wife, Jimmie?
She brings a whole bunch of chicks over, and we just party.
What the fuck? Yeah, you know.
That's how I've met every girl I've ever dated.
Only Diane never left when the party was over. She stayed, and at this point, we had been together for just under a year. She had changed. I had changed her, I suppose. There was no way that someone could live with me, could be around me for such an extended period of time without changing. When you live with someone who is high literally 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, you either leave or you adapt. Diane adapted. When I met her, she used drugs, maybe a little crystal meth when she danced or coke recreationally. You know, just a little crystal meth here and there.
What's
normal?
A little meth between friends?
That's what we do before a show. Just a little crystal meth before the show to get you up. Not just like a Pepsi and a beer back there, just and a joint maybe. Just some.
We can't podcast without a glass stick in the room. It's necessary.
Well, let me finish. Yeah, wait till I finish the sentence, too. We had to interrupt it because it was so funny, but it gets funnier. When I met her, she used drugs, maybe a little crystal meth when she danced, or coke recreational. Normal people stuff. He means that. He's not sarcastic. Because the next line says, quote, the stuff that is happening in homes and clubs all over the country at this very moment. A little crystal meth and some coke recreationally, quote, normal people stuff, you know.
How are you so out of touch, Jason?
Well, if you spend all of your off time at strip clubs, your version of what is, you know, normal people just doing coke and paying a girl to put her pussy in on my face. Just normal, right? Just normal people stuff.
A little meth to get me through the day of architecture.
Holy fuck, man. Of architecture, yeah. After a year, however, Diane was snorting as much heroin and smoking as much crack as I was, and I was supporting her habit. Without me to continue funding her drug habit, Diane would be completely screwed. It was during this attempt that I realized that maybe Diane didn't want us to get clean. After all, it's an old story. If you take the drugs away from a relationship like this, often there's nothing left in their place. Maybe a part of her worried that if we weren't high all the time, I wouldn't want her around anymore. It would have at least required a huge period of readjustment. Outside of getting high, we didn't have much in common. And the smell, that fucking smell. With a groan of disappointment, I woke up fully. I was curled in a fetal position. I didn't know how long I'd been asleep. I became aware that Diane was sitting on the edge of the bed next to me. I gingerly turned around. What the fuck, I gasped, are you doing? She turned and looked at me. In her hand was a large, square piece of aluminum foil. A pipe fashioned from foil hung casually from her lips. Her bleary, stoned eyes looked at me quizzically before she fired up a lighter and carried on smoking heroin right there in the same bed where I was trying to get clean.
What do you think I'm doing?
What the fuck are you doing, Diane? She exhaled plumes of white smoke from her nostrils and took the pipe from her mouth. I'm staying well, Jason, so I can look after you. How are you feeling, baby? Okay.
Staying well?
I'm staying well so I can look after you.
Well, well and high have the same amount of letters, so
I'm doing this for you.
You selfish fuck. You're making me get stoned.
Well and high are the same amount of letters, like you said. There you go. I was furious with her, but too sick and weak to argue. Instead, I told her to give me the fucking dope so I could get well, too. I swear she looked relieved when I finally caved. The sudden change in our plans necessitated a trip back to New York. Once I was using heroin again, I realized we needed more of everything. So we drove back to the city that night to have coke and heroin delivered to the apartment. Wow. He said, my connections were always ready to deliver. It's pure economics. He's probably a great customer, this guy. I was everybody's best customer, and there's no better working model for capitalism than the relationship between a dealer and his customer. If I called at 7 in the morning and he was dropping his kid off at school, he made sure I got my drugs first. Late for his mother's funeral, he made sure I got my drugs first. So within an hour of making the call, I had 5 8-balls of cocaine and 3 bundles of heroin sitting on my coffee table.
Unbelievable.
Jesus fucking Christ.
This is what happened to his career.
That is a lot. Yeah. It was too late to drive back to Jersey. We decided to stay home. We started our usual routine. I cooked up the cocaine with bicarbonate of soda to make freebase. We put the TV on and began to furiously smoke crack and snort heroin. The same thing we've been doing daily for the past 12 months. A woman in tears was screaming at her boyfriend about how she was going to keep her baby no matter what. I noticed Diane staring at the screen intently. Fuck, I laughed. I tell you, Diane, if you ever get pregnant, we wouldn't be keeping that baby. It was an innocuous enough comment, I thought. After all, we were heroin addicts with out-of-control crack habits. Yeah, that's bad. We weren't exactly the models of stability. Whatever I was expecting from Diane, it wasn't the reaction I got. How do you mean? I mean what I say. If you ever got pregnant, we wouldn't be keeping that baby. Uh-oh. What the fuck do you mean you wouldn't be keeping that baby, Jason? You're a fucking junkie, Diane. So am I.
Diane, have some fucking clarity for a minute. What are you,
Jesus
high?
Christ. What are you on heroin or something? What are you smoking crack? Oh, wait. So she said, he said, so you're a fucking junkie, Diane. So am I. What, you're saying that you'd keep it if you got pregnant? And she said, I couldn't get rid of my baby. And he said, what, you'd rather have a baby born addicted to fucking crack than get an abortion? Listen to what you're fucking saying, stupid. Fuck you, she said. Then Diane lost it. She started screaming about how I didn't love her, how I was taking her away her right to choose, how I was a controlling asshole. She hadn't slept in days, and we were both loaded on dope and crack with our psyche so fragile. The argument quickly escalated.
Terrific. 2 crackheads arguing about politics now.
Yeah, politics and finances. None of these things they really should be thinking about. I screamed at her that she was crazy if she thought she was ever having my baby. She told me that I was crazy if I thought I could tell her what to do. Fine, I yelled at her. Then we aren't having sex ever again, period. Not until the both of us clean up. With that, Diane stormed into the bedroom and slammed the door shut. It was a ridiculous argument. It wasn't as if Diane was getting pregnant at all was likely. At the beginning of our relationship, it had been all about sex, but that soon fizzled out as drugs became the focus. Sometimes when she got high, Diane would get horny, but the last thing I wanted to do was have sex. To keep her happy, once in a while I would cut down on the drugs, pop a Viagra, and we would screw. But there were so many chemicals in my bloodstream that even this was an extremely rare occurrence. When you've been doing crack a while, it becomes the least sexual drug you can imagine. The very idea of touching another person or doing anything that would divert your attention away from the pipe is unthinkable. I sat and fumed. Fucking bitch! She was acting crazier and crazier. The crack was making her unstable.
Weird.
Weird, right? So strange. Fucking doing speedballs and it's not working out for you. Weird.
It's messing with their brain.
Strange. The crack was making her unstable. All it would take would be one wrong word out of me and she would be in tears, screaming, throwing things. In my eyes, I was the stable one. I sucked on the crack pipe angrily and contemplated throwing her ass out on the street. After an hour, I checked in on her. She sat at the desk by the bed, furiously writing a letter with the pipe next to her. Yeah, she's writing it fast, all right. Mm-hmm. She was so high and so angry, her eyes looked like they could pop right out of her skull. When you're high on crack, you get into manic bouts of activity like this. I decided to leave her to it. I went back to the TV room and carried on getting loaded. I couldn't concentrate on the screen. I started to cook more crack using a large dessert spoon to dump the cocaine into and the baking soda into. At every step of the process, adding water, cooking up the coke, draining off the water, drying the base cocaine, I would stop to smoke some more of the previous batch. My hands trembled from the effect of the coke. Shit. I heard the noise maybe a half hour after the crack was cooked. I immediately realized it was the sliding door leading to the fire escape. What the fuck was she doing? It was 4 o'clock in the morning. My building was one of the more exclusive in New York City. I counted Matt Damon among my neighbors.
He's making crack in Matt Damon's house. That's
Yep,
nuts.
Smoking crack and the same thing. The heads of multi-million-dollar corporations lived here. As I stormed into the bedroom, I caught a glimpse of Diane, crack pipe and torch in one hand, letter in the other, disappearing up the fire escape.
Wow.
My blood ran cold. My mind still reeling from the crack I had been smoking, I started to realize just how messy this could get. One of my big shot neighbors hears Diane stomping about the fire escape, thinks it's someone trying to break into their apartment, and calls the cops. I mean, Jesus, I could see the headlines. Ex-NFL player Jason Peter arrested in his multi-million-dollar crack den. Yeah.
Where's she going, though?
Diane, I hissed, get the fuck down. Fuck you, she yelled back. Leave me alone. You don't love me. Oh, boy.
You won't let me have our baby.
Oh, man, that doesn't exist anyway.
You don't...
This is a crack argument.
You won't let me not abort our hypothetical baby.
Yeah, God damn it. If you ever hypothetically get me pregnant, I'm never going to the abortion clinic that I don't have to go to because I'm not actually pregnant. Fuck you, she yelled back. Leave me alone. You don't love me. I saw her climbing unsteadily up the fire escape. Oh, Jesus, it got better and better. I could hear her muttering to herself about what an asshole I was. The girl was so high and so hysterical there was no reasoning with her. I tried a different track. Diane, baby, I pleaded. Come down. Let's just talk. Fuck you, Jason. God damn it, any minute now, lights were going to start coming on all over the building. If one person called 911, this whole house of cards was going to come tumbling down around me. Diane, I hissed louder this time, if you don't get down here right now, so help me God, I'm going to lock you out on this fire escape. Now I'm going inside. If you aren't here in 2 fucking minutes, I'm locking the door. She tried to play like a 4-year-old card. Like, okay, well, I'm leaving. No. Fucking bitch. I was suddenly gripped with the drug-fucked certainty that if I didn't get away from the apartment right this minute, I was going to be spending an extended period of time in a prison cell. I opened the door, and as I did, I heard a noise above my head. Crunch. Diane had either dropped or thrown the crack pipe down, and it shattered into fragments on the escape. Tiny shards of glass tinkled as they fell through the cracks and started to settle. I could see them twinkling like frost on the metal walkway. Christ. I pulled the door open and stepped back into the relative safety of my apartment. I thought about locking the door and then decided against it. My concern for Diane's safety was fading now, and my survival instinct kicked in. There was no way in hell I'm going to do time because of her tantrum. I was going to split, whether she decided to stay on the fire escape or not. My heart pounding, my adrenaline levels pumped to insane levels, I started to throw my clothes into a bag. I grabbed all the drugs in the place. I stashed the cocaine in my pockets. I looked at the heroin. I had 3 bundles left. Every time I heard a siren outside on the street, I thought the cops must be showing up at my building already. In a moment of idiot genius, I decided to flush the heroin. After all, if I walked outside and the cops were waiting, I could deal with being busted with coke. There's something acceptable about coke. I mean, shit, 90% of Wall Street does coke. It's a success drug. I think people are more taken aback when they find out rich people aren't doing coke.
Okay.
Fair enough, though.
Yeah.
In that strata, I'd be like, well, yeah, he was partying or something. But heroin's like, what are you doing?
Scumbag.
I stood over the toilet, threw one bundle in the bowl, plop. Don't worry, man, I told myself. You'll be cool. You can buy some more as soon as the shit blows over. I threw the second bundle into the bowl. I know I'm now looking at what amounted to $300 floating in my toilet, like the world's most expensive turd. One bundle left. Cursing, I placed the last bundle in my back pocket with my coke and flushed the rest of the dope before I had time to change my mind. Yeah, I just have to take my chances with the cops. I needed heroin more than I needed peace of mind. I picked up my bag and headed for the door. Where the fuck are you going, Jason? I turned around and there was Diane. I hadn't even heard her come in. Her eyes looked crazed. In this light, I could see the toll the drugs were taking on her. She looked thinner, hollowed out almost. And her eyes, she was something terribly vacant about her eyes. She was still clutching the torch and the letter like her life depended on it. Away, Diane, I'm going away. Where are you going? Answer me. I told you away. I'm done. I'm done with all this bullshit. I waved my hand around the apartment. This shit is making you crazy. You're acting like a fucking lunatic. I'm out, Diane. Do you, do what you need to do, but I'm out of here. I saw her mind turning the situation over. You can't go, she said quietly. Oh, yes, I can. I knew that she was worried about the drugs. She knew I had them on me. The last thing she wanted was for me to storm out right then and leave her with no drugs. It was a survival mechanism on her part, but I was in no mood to negotiate. Jesus Christ. With a scream, Diane launched herself at me and started to punch me and claw at my face. I'm 240 pounds, 6'5". If I was the kind of guy, I could have knocked her on her ass, but she still tried anyway. She was going for my bag. I let her have it. She ripped it open and started throwing my clothes on the floor in a vain attempt to find the drugs. They ain't there. They ain't there. I flushed the fucking drugs, Diane. They're all gone. Here. I dug around in my wallet, took out a bunch of $20 bills and threw them at her. They drifted down all around her like confetti. Diane just stayed on the ground, her breath ragged with the contents of my bag and scrunched up $20 bills, vomited all around her.
What a scene.
The fucking candy store is closed, I spat. I'm going. When I get back, you better be gone. I left her like that. I ran down the stairs and still convinced the cops must be on their way. It was 4 a.m. and I was cracked out, sweating. The whole incident had spun me out completely. I heard my heart pounding in my ears, and I felt the cold sweat trickling down my back. Outside of my building, taxis were loitering to pick up the stragglers from the nightclub next door. I wrenched the door open, and the driver, an older Indian guy, almost jumped out of his skin when he saw a sweating, brawny crackhead with eyes bulging and a shaved head jump into the back of his cab, like in a bad movie, look at him and yelled, "Drive."
Uh-huh.
Well, where do you want to go? Anywhere, man. Just fucking drive. That's terrifying.
Yep.
We headed uptown, cruising the streets of New York at 4 a.m. After the initial rush of crack, you're left with a pretty unpleasant sensation. Your adrenaline levels and heart rate are pushed way up. The pleasurable aspects start to fade away. Then you find yourself in full-on fight-or-flight mode. You start to get a little tweaked. Everything carries the air of threat. Sudden noises seem loud and malicious. Your mind is reeling, and the paranoia floods in. My mind started to turn on me. What if she dies, my mind said. What if she fucking jumps? That note was obviously a suicide note of some kind. Right. If she throws herself out of a window or slashes her wrists, the cops show up to see that you fled the scene. You do the math. Heroin and crack-addicted football player kills his girlfriend and flees the scene.
There you go.
Tries to make it look like a suicide. It'll be open and shut. You'll get the fucking chair, asshole, and it'll take more than Johnny Cochran to save you. You need an alibi. You need to cover your ass. So spurred by crack logic, I started talking to the cab driver. Listen, man, something bad is about to happen in my apartment. My girlfriend, I think she's going to hurt herself. I don't know. She's fucking crazy. She's all cracked out up on the fire escape. I think she wrote a fucking suicide note. Imagine being an old Indian man. I don't know. Okay. Like just...
Oh, that sounds terrible. I hope you guys get it back together.
Oh, no. This is bad. I could tell the old guy behind the wheel was getting more and more freaked out. You think? What I was doing was patently insane, but I carried on anyway. Look, I need a receipt with the time on it. And if anything happens, I need your word that you'll tell the cops I was in your cab at, hey, what time is it, 4:15? Look, I need you to tell me you'll tell the cops that I didn't do anything, okay? I carried on in this vein for a while. The driver would look back at me in the mirror for a second before meeting my manic gaze and looking away quickly. He probably thought I was some kind of psychopathic murderer. Every so often he would say, "Oh yeah?" or "Really?" And I started to go off on the impression that he was being very careful not to antagonize me. Yeah. We pulled up at an ATM and I withdrew as much cash as I could. I didn't want to use my card when I got to the hotel. Maybe the cops would trace it. It seemed as if the whole city was buzzing with malicious energy. Holy shit. So anyway, he thinks the cops are following him all over. He goes to the Hudson Hotel. There's no rooms available. Totally booked up, right? So he's like, fuck. He thinks that he figures too, like he's got the receipt from the cabbie. This guy, if I'm at a hotel, there's, whatever. He'll know.
Some footage, yeah.
Still know that I didn't do it, right? So then he starts going to another hotel. He can't fucking find it. Basically, he goes to like 3 hotels. There's no rooms available. He said, I started hitting hotels in an effort to find a place for the night. What I needed to do was get a room, bolt the door, and get high. Get so high that I could just turn off the screaming voices in my head for a moment. In the back of my mind, I knew the wreckage of my life would still be there when the drugs wore off, but at this point, I didn't care. Whether Diane was alive, dead, or something in between, my overwhelming need was for the temporary oblivion of drugs. I needed to be high as a motherfucker.
Yeah, this stuff sounds like a party.
So he's going around to all the fancy hotels. Doesn't it sound great?
No, that's not an advertisement.
No, it's not fun.
That sounds so bad.
Oh, this book is not an advertisement for like fun with drugs. This is just awful shit, and he's very honest. So there's no rooms available in like 3 hotels. So now he thinks that there's a plot against him.
Yeah.
He said someone was calling all these hotels ahead of time, warning them that I was bad news, that I was a drug-crazed woman killer on the run from the law. I started ducking into hotel bathrooms, taking little snorts of coke and trying to delay the crash. Holy shit, man. So he ended up doing all of that, going to all these different hotels. He said that I noticed the bastards following me somewhere along Broadway. I heard a noise behind me, and when I turned to look, there were 2 kids on my tail, too young to be cops. They looked like punks, snitches maybe. They were keeping pace with me, talking between themselves, but looking up every so often. I picked up my speed. So did they. They were trailing me, the cops' very own tracking device. I knew the game was going to be up any second now. I took my cell phone and started desperately calling the apartment. I needed to know if she was alive. So he called a couple of times. Then she says, Jason, I stood still and let the relief seep into my body. Oh, Jesus, Diane. Listen, I'm on my way back. No, fuck you, Jason. I don't want to see you. So, either way, they end up driving back to New Jersey, or he ends up driving back to New Jersey, and he was calling his younger brother, a few of his friends, and he basically said this in all of them. It's Jason. Listen, something happened last night. I don't want to get into it, but just be ready to bail me out if something happens, okay? Please just be ready to bail me out. I'm sorry.
Sure, man. I got to get back to my kid's birthday party. I'm going to not think about this for the rest of my life if something bad happens.
Jesus Christ.
How could you put that on people?
That's wild. See, he said, that's how I found myself contemplating suicide at my parents' house, the beginning, when he was sitting there wanting the gun. That's the night that caused that.
Fascinating.
So there is Jason, and that's what happened to his career.
Life
right
over.
There.
And is he just in and out of rehab now, or what is he doing?
No, he's doing well now. He was coaching for a while in high school. They asked him, this is in an interview with this fucking interview is so stupid. Whoever did this, like an old church lady interviewed him about a dirty book about heroin addiction.
Awesome.
They say it's a really raw book, not just the subject matter, but there's plenty of swearing. Was there ever a thought about cleaning that up?
Oh, for Christ's sake.
It's about heroin and fucking and doing gross things. What are you supposed to say? Oh, make it clean language? He said, I'm not a writer. I wrote this book, but I'm not a writer. The only way possible to do it was for me to write in my own voice, to tell the stories like I'm sitting here with me and you. People who read it, who know about me may say it sounds like it's coming right out of my mouth. Back then, being a football player, a warrior-type person, the adrenaline, that was the language I used, especially when carrying that over into the underground drug world. They then asked him, do you talk that way even now? He says, if I'm with my friends, the jersey comes out. Yeah. That's what he says. Yeah. That's all. 2002, July 12th, the Chicago Bears signed Christian, though. That they have a 4-12 season. It's a disaster. This is the Jim Miller, Chris Chandler, Henry Burris, Corey Sauter quarterbacked.
2010?
2002.
Oh, 2. Okay.
2. Not good at all.
Yeah.
He ends up playing in 12 games, has no sacks, 33 tackles, and then Christian's done as well.
Yeah.
He's done. He's played in 81 games. He's had 34 starts, 3.5 sacks, 149 combined tackles in his career.
Good.
Not great. 2002, right after he leaves football, Christian has a 3-day relapse, has a complete fucking binge where he goes off the rails and goes out and drinks himself into insolvency for 3 days.
It's probably pretty depressing to wake up to this reality, so I'll bet you're right.
Yeah. He does that, and I mean, he talks about it. He felt terrible. He has a little girl at this point and a wife, and he said he felt like he was a piece of shit because he exposed them to it, and oh my God, he's a victim, remember, Jimmie?
Yeah.
And you feel so bad for him, don't you, Jimmie? Don't you just feel bad for him? But not nearly as bad as I feel for Christian Peter, expert for digitalization and customer focus in Frankfurt, Germany. Christian Peter, managing partner at Versus Recruitment Advisors in Dusseldorf.
Oh.
Christian Peter, Director and Operations and Finance at EBC in Dubai. Christian Peter, medical doctor in Germany. So there you go. There's a million of them. They're all in Germany. Yeah. Christian Peter's a very popular name in Germany, by the way.
Peter is that's the last name. They're from Germany. That's their surname, right? And his dad's from there. So I don't think I know a lot of Peters, plural Peter.
Yes, exactly.
Last name of Peter, singular, is not common.
When you look up Jason Peter, the first page is all Jason Peters from the NFL because there's a guy who got arrested for a ton of shit named Jason Peters from the NFL, and it was more recently he was more of a prominent player, so it's all him. You have to really look hard for this Jason Peter. By 2004, Kathy Redmond, remember her?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
Yeah, she said that in 2000, Tom Osborne apologized to her.
Oh, why would he do that?
Saying, quote, I just want you to know I'm sorry for everything and I didn't do right by you.
Yeah, because he feels like a piece of shit now.
It was also the same year he ran for Congress.
Yeah.
So
please don't talk about that.
Yeah, please don't come out and say how I cover up sexual assault by my football players. So Redmond is the founder of the National Coalition Against Violent Athletes, a nonprofit watchdog group based in Colorado, who I'm surprised doesn't advertise on this show.
Yeah.
Between the Kobe Bryant rape case and the sexual abuse scandals at the Air Force Academy and Colorado University, she says she is at the epicenter of rape culture.
Yeah.
She's got a whole bunch of women that she counsels and does all that sort of shit. The reason she started this, though, was from a member of the New York Giants, but not Christian Peter.
Oh.
A 22-year-old woman said she was assaulted by Tito Wooten, who used to be a defensive back there. Yeah. According to police reports, this Akina Wilson said that on December 7th, 1997, while she was pregnant, Wooten choked her and punched her in the face in a New Jersey hotel. He had a history of domestic violence, but 10 days later, when they appeared together in court, Wooten's lawyer said he was representing both parties. He told the prosecutor that the couple had reconciled and that Wilson wanted the charges dropped. So the judge ended the hearing by telling Wooten to have a good game on Sunday.
Oh, my God.
Wilson died of carbon monoxide poisoning 24 days later after leaving a suicide message on her father's answering machine. Her body was found in the garage of Wooten's home. The next month, he signed an $8 million contract with the Giants, by the way. And, so that made her start this whole thing here. And, it's needed. Let's just say that.
Certainly necessary, yeah.
She said, I compare it to a mafia underground where you have this athletic department full of money and power and boosters. You have the university presidents who don't dare get involved with the athletic department because they're bringing in so much money. Mm-hmm. So they are so conditioned to believe coach is God. In Nebraska, that's the way it was. If Tom Osborne says it's fine, it's fine. If Joe Paterno says Jerry Sandusky's not doing anything bad with those kids, then he's not doing anything bad with those kids. Mm-hmm. So what has Christian been up to? He said he remained sober after his 2002 relapse. Okay. He said it wasn't long, thank God. It was a one-night deal. It was actually 3, but that's fine. I got back on track. It's fortunate I've got some very good people around me. He's got a wife named Monica.
Okay.
They met in 2000, and he told her right up front that she would probably read some disturbing things about his past if she went on the internet.
Never Google me.
Never Google me. Her friends and colleagues who knew of his history warned her not to get into a relationship. But Monica said, quote, I'm a pretty good judge of character and I can read people. She's an elementary school psychologist. Mm-hmm. She said, that's what my area of interest is, and he gave me no reason not to trust him. Peter then, after retiring, went into the insurance business, Christian does, and owned 3 brokerage firms.
What?
He was doing there. Lives in New Jersey with his wife and 3 children, Olivia, Juliet, and, of course,
Amy?
Christian Jr. Oh. Absolutely Christian Jr. As soon as he had a boy.
Yeah.
Monica says he's a doting father who does laundry, washes dishes, and makes breakfast while drawing on an abundance of energy from his ADD. She said, I think he's just like all the kids I work with. Well, you can tell why she's attracted to him right away. Jesus. Yeah. He had learning disabilities. He felt badly about himself. He happened to excel at sports. Then he made a lot of bad choices. Lucky for him that after all the turmoil that happened in college, he's had an amazing opportunity and was welcomed in by another team. Peter added, Christian said there's no cure for what I had. I had to continue the treatment program the Giants had put together for me. I have a tendency of not thinking things through. Over the years, as things have slowed down for me, that was one of the many things I had to learn to do, to think things through before I made decisions. I'm not perfect. I get annoyed. I get upset and stuff like that. But now it's a different time and place, and I can't act that way. There will be repercussions. Yeah, Tom Osborne won't save you.
Yeah.
2006, he's inducted into the Nebraska Hall of Fame.
Get out.
Nebraska Cornhusker Hall of fucking Famer.
9 arrests in college, and he's a Hall of Fame. Wow, man.
They won 2 national championships. Yeah. Everybody on those teams there. So 2014, the NFL brings in Christian Peter along with 9 other retired players for a meeting with Roger Goodell and 2 league advisors to discuss domestic violence, sexual assault, and what can be done to address the problems plaguing the NFL.
Oh, my God.
Kathy Redmond, who obviously accused Peter of raping her twice, was incensed that the NFL looked to Peter for insight. She said the decision, quote, shuns the victims, and said, quote, is there value in finding out where some of these troubled athletes have gone? Is a question they're posing. The NFL says, yeah, there's value. We need to understand from a player perspective why this happens and what is effective in preventing it and how to conquer it. We are in no way trying to give credibility to what Christian Peter did. In fact, we deplore it in every sense of the action. But we're trying to understand how he was able to overcome what seemed to be a lifelong challenge and what his current challenges are and any other useful information. Victims will tell you the truth about the pressures, lack of support, the system, and how it went against them, says Redmond. She said the NFL players aren't going to bring that up.
No.
True.
But it is the right audience to talk to.
Yeah, Peter said he wanted to share some of the details of his past, but it's going to be more like, look out for these bitches, man. They'll say,
you know, the right way. Yeah,
they said that he acknowledged some charges but denied others and all that kind of shit. He's had years of treatment for alcoholism. He said, you've got to understand, I feel like I'm the luckiest person in the world, and I was given a second chance. Quote, I'm not the same person.
Now he's a 9th person.
Jesus fucking Christ.
How many times is this guy going to turn into a different person?
Right. Redmond said she expects Peter to still deny the rape allegations. She said, usually people don't come forward and say, yeah, I did that. There's no impetus to do it. Yeah, there's no reward for him to say that at this point. Peter said, quote, I feel like I've owned up to the things I've done. It's unfortunate. I can't change the past now. I've acknowledged what I've done wrong. I'm sorry to the people I've hurt. I'm sorry to my family. But there's nothing I can do about it that's going to change it, to change anything. Life isn't fair. I told you some of the things I did not do, and I will not apologize for. I've had to deal with that for 20-some years and still to this day. In 20-some years, not one person, not one reporter has given me the opportunity to say what really happened. You're talking to a reporter right now. You couldn't say what really happened? You couldn't. And how many quotes have I given you of his?
Too many.
Million?
Yeah.
How many times has the press talked to him in 30 years? Like 1,000. None of those times you were ever able to say something here.
Yeah.
On June 24, 2018, he celebrated his 11th year of sobriety.
Wow.
Ever since his binge. He said that binge, quote, that killed me. That's when I decided enough was enough. Because he had a wife and 2 daughters, and he wasn't going to do it. So he's raising awareness about the opiate epidemic, particularly in South Jersey. He's a fundraiser and supporter of the Tigger House Foundation, which is for
kids.
No. It's the kid's name was his nickname was Tigger, and it's not like there's not like a bunch of Winnie the Pooh shit there. Okay. The kid died from an accidental heroin overdose, a teenager. So it's Christian Peter speaks openly of sobriety, past struggles, and those who have helped him along the way. He travels to schools, businesses, communities, rehabs, and correctional facilities, sharing his story in hopes that someone struggling will be helped. Peter currently serves on the board of Tigger House Foundation, a 501c3 nonprofit deal. Let's see. Peter's currently residing in New Jersey. He's still there, and he runs a full-service insurance brokerage firm out of Red Bank, New Jersey. Can't get enough? I don't fucking know.
No.
Buy some insurance from him and read Hero of the Underground by Jason Peter there. By the way, they asked Jason Peter why you called it Hero of the Underground. Do you think you're some kind of hero for being a drug addict. And he said, no, the point was on the field I was a hero, but I was actually smoking crack on the side. So that's what it was about. That's what he said.
And you were barely a hero. Stop it.
That's what I'm saying. He should have been hero,
to myself.
marginal player in the underground would have been better of a title. So that, everybody, is Christian and to a smaller extent, Jason Peter. Been saving that up, too, because that shit's wild.
What a couple of bad brothers.
Fucking assholes. So if you like that, give us 5 stars. Do whatever you want. Definitely get on shutupandgivememurder.com. You want to head there. You want to get tickets to the 2023 live show for Small Town Murder. The whole tour is up. Well, not the whole tour. About half the tickets are up. Later on in the year, it'll start.
Dates, and you can open and get tickets.
You can get plans and get tickets in early 2023 for some of them. But the first half of the year, those are all for sale, starting with February 10th in Cleveland, February 11th in St. Louis. Those are going fast. Get your tickets now for those very quickly because they're definitely going to be gone. So do that. Come and see us. Hang out. Shutupandgivememurder.com. Follow us on social media at Crime and Sports on Twitter and Facebook, at Small Town Murder on Instagram, patreon.com /Crime and Sports. You want to get on that. Anybody $5 or above. That price ain't going up, everybody. We're keeping it at that always. $5 or above, you get everything we put out bonus-wise. There's like 150 back episodes of bonus shit that you haven't heard. You can binge on that. And then every other week, you're going to get 2 new episodes. Yeah. 1 Crime and Sports, 1 Small Town Murder, and you'll get access to everything. This week, we're going to talk about crazy-ass stories from the American Basketball Association. This is a rogue league in the 60s and 70s, so it's a lot of wild shit and drugs and gunplay and fighting and craziness. We'll talk. It's going to be so much fun. Then for Small Town Murder, we're going to talk about when they blame video games for murders. That's
ridiculous.
We've talked about it before with music and movies and shit like that, but the video games are a whole thing unto themselves because there's so many specific ones they're blaming for shit. We'll talk about that and more. That is patreon.com /Crime and Sports. And there's something else you're going to get out of this. And that is a shout-out. Yeah. When does that shout-out happen, goddammit? Right fucking now. Jimmie, hit me with the names of the people who would never, ever, ever climb out on a fire escape and cause us to run around New York City thinking there were cops on our trail and our girlfriend had plunged 40 stories to her death. Hit me with them now.
This week's executive producer are Cameron Kushwara, Cora Good, Kelsey Millard. Happy birthday, Kelsey. Mark Bash, Hayden Willis, Sloan Harrison. Thank you, Sloan. Jason Tirado, Jordan Bennett sent my kids gifts. Thank you so much, Jordan.
She's the best. Thank you, Jordan.
Trinidad Bernardino, happy birthday. He's the one that I'm not going to talk about that. He gave you a large. A large baggie of some things.
No, I know that person, and that's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
I like gorillas and glue. That's perfect.
Other producers this week are Pavilas Besavias, I think, in Lithuania, so it's probably not that.
Cool. Awesome.
The guy chasing Stymie through the pipes, Rabbi Shmulevich, and the Baron Miguel Silsluna fan club. Is that a wrestler? Probably.
Baron Miguel Silsluna.
There you
go.
It's
an old wrestler. Yeah, there you go. He's a bad guy from the 70s.
Gary is Gary Friedman digs deep with very old references and must be an older man. It has to be.
Like me, just knows old shit that's before his time.
I want to meet him so bad. Wherever you're at, come see us.
Yeah, Gary, come see us.
Have drinks with me. I hope you're old.
That'd be great if you're old.
I hope you're like 85.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Tell you what happened in my day.
And you found podcasts.
When we fought the Kaiser, I'd be like, tell me more.
Also, Heather Norton, Hannah Quinn, and her pup Kinyoki, Alan Hunkin. Thank you, Alan. The guys in the 63 Tempest, Sarah Surridge, Janice Hill, Brandy Huntley, Andrea Fellows, Jessica Merles, I think. Casey McMahon, Christine Nuchens, Tyler Emmerich, Stephanie Gittemeyer, Fran Aiello, Heather Knight, Libby Mason, Josh Farley, Jason Vavala. Nope, that's Shannon Vavala. Jason?
Where
what
the hell
is
did you
happening?
pull Jason out of your ass
Shelby
from?
Jennings, Lucas Parrish, Matt Leachman, Jason. Nope, that's Satan. Why do I want to
Why do you want everyone to be called Jason? There isn't even, I thought the next name was Jason. I haven't heard of Jason yet, except for the other Jason you're forcing on us.
Satanic Soccer Mom is her name. It's not even Jason. Sloan Harrison, Pilar, Catherine
Everyone
Brooks.
change your name to Jason on Patreon for the next one. one when you sign up again. Do that.
Andre Milacre. Andre Millaker.
Hey.
Morgan Capps, Denise Parnell, Connor Adams, Owen with no last name, Mary L. Cheyenne Prohl, Tyler Radici. Yeah, Constance Radici. Constance Wright, Bethany Cox, Anthony Battaglia, Raul Montcalm, Jessica Jennifer Spadamore, Spadora. I think I'm dyslexic. Kelly Weiler, Justin Frank, Noah Bay, Becky Jenkins, Hillary Bryant, Mariella Formaccioni, Brian Spoonmore, Morgan Russo, that's Joe Jasiak, Sydney Dryden, Joshua Perez, Melissa Baldwin, Mally, Kay, Danielle, that's Daniel, Paul, Jake Sasser, Kelly Hands, Alex Jansevsky.
Yeah.
Jeannie Streeter, Stephanie Cordonier, Jenna Joy, Jennifer Gibson, Sharday Henderson, I am Lisa 22, Brianne Brockman, Daniel Kavanaugh, Jason Wilkie, Deborah Cassiani, Candy with no last name, Danielle Grazapoline. That sounds like a drug.
It does. They gave me that. My blood pressure's back to normal now, so that's good. I should be okay.
Grazio Plini, maybe. John Butler, Jessica J, Regina Abercorn, Diana. Oh boy, Baymaruka.
That's a good sign. Oh boy. That's a real good sign.
Kulova, Dawson F, Jeff Hunter, Bill Futornik, Emily Adderhold, Amy McCabe, Jimmy Can't Read. Tell me something else I don't know.
He's doing fine. Fuck you.
Elizabeth Nisbet,
doing great.
Jennifer Marcianic, Clint Naramore, J.W., Ava Iani, I think, Nancy Gregg, Joseph Doherty, Melissa Edwards, Cody Murray, Di Scott, Preston Wong, Tori Neasy, Tobias, oh boy, Onyango, Harley Tuar, Briant, that's Brittany probably, Whorehouse, White House, sorry about it, Brittany, what the fuck? I'm going to slow
blame
down.
Brittany. It's on you.
Bryce Morris, Patricia Fairs, Joe Mannion, Nicole Holderman, Jonathan Parker, Amber Miller, Daphne Mann, Lisa Taylor Olson, Matt Gilson, Susan Shepard, Andrew Scott, Tyree Johnson, Ben Piper, Avery Birch, Raina Kennedy, Ryan Vodele, Chadrick Seifert, Maria Cherry, Crystal Lynn Hole, A.K. Akamasi, Tiny R. What? With fear we all fall. No, with fear we fall. Luke Vines, Veronica, Veroninskaya? What? Don Black, Stephanie Vaughn, Circle Jerk. Gotcha.
Oh, you're a mess.
Katie Pierce, Jamie Evsary, Crystal Hatchie, Leanne Malik, Brian West, DH.
D. Jason? Is that his name?
You can't even spell it. It's just DH. Tori Powell, Samantha Rendezvous, Resendays. Jason Torado, Ranja Nilsson, Kelly Walker, Samuel Richardson, Jen Clemens, Roos Remakers. What are you trying to make me say? I don't know. Lynn Turner, Butter Knives, Bitch Mittens, Julie Bailey, Lynn Kirkland, Dave Coe, Austin Blanchfield, Amanda Hickman, Robin Johnson, Eric Donaldson, Michelle Casper. See, now I'm trying my best not to fall into the traps of the things that they write. And it's mixed with the fucking different names or different fucking...
Names are hard.
Echo Carey? What? Emma Townsend, Ellen K., Wendy Siamese Cat, Katie Southwell, Helena, 1,000, Tasha Hernandez, Brittany Archangel, doesn't matter. Caitlin Cowell, Francis Sharp.
You know who you are, motherfucker.
Cat Martin, Rat Bone, Matt Yenter, Cat and Michael Wimp. That can't be right. Isaac Brunton, Dave Moore, the whore. Dalton with no last name. Carolyn Jeanette, Pam Kelly, Elena Nagy, Heather Bennett. Aaron Dillon, Heather Amato, Shane with no last name, Michael Hudson, Jordy Papin, Cindy with no last name, Taylor Walker, Steve with no last name, Amanda Wedden, Gribble, Jacob Myers, Taylor Moon, Ariel with no last name, Allie Bebinger, Stephanie Sanders, Samuel with no last name, Benjamin Rickett, Vanessa Gill, Ashley Richards, Dawn with no last name, Ashley Hopkins, Jenna Olszewski, Carl Peak, Mirsa Bustamante, Maria Burkhardt, I think Burkhardt, Bill Langmesser, Candice Taylor, Alexander Coyle, Angelina, no, that's Angela Visser, Deanne Kitt, Cousin Jenny, Cartel Ace, Hillary Woodyard, Jay Baskey, Greg Botkin, Bradley Kidwell, Eric Funk, Tanya Lopez, Ashley Stewart, Tanya, that's what it is.
Sorry.
Tracy Felix,
Tania,
Philip Venner.
all you Tanias out there.
Michaela with no last name, Andy Dinkle, Amanda Wilson, Teresa Casto, Peggy with no last name, Michael Herman, Annabelle Clodius, Russell Greco, Greco, Patrick Cassidy. I want to die. Laura McHenry, Michael Starling Jr., Aaron Ahern Williams, Caleb Wells, Brooke Shaw, Kathleen with no last name, Petra Hovdebo, Allison Christie Johnson, Julie Lawson, Jennifer Passante, J.D. Lassiter, Moore Dahan, Moore Weston Morrison, Sarah Garrity, Chris Simmons, Kim with no last name, Alex Funk, Madeline Hurley, Kayla Higgins, Canella Oldroyd, Crystal Nelson, Michael McKee, Goober with no last name, Simon Frost, Garrett Wynn, Krista Jonch, Trey Reese, and also, I said Trinidad. Happy birthday. And all of our patrons, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, so much from the bottom of our hearts. We appreciate all that you do for us, and we hope that Patreon can be a small token of our gratification.
Yes.
So thank you so much for our gratification. That's gross. That means we jerk off to it, so that's even weirder. So we'll go with gratitude. Yeah, you don't want to tell them that. We don't want to tell them.
Well, now you know. Now you know.
Now you know. Now you know what we whack it to over here.
Names for everything.
If you want to start, or if you want to follow us on social media, easy to do that. Just head over to shutupandgivememurder.com. Links are everywhere to everything that we just told you about. Thank you so much, everybody. Only 2 more to go.
Yeah.
And live from the Crime and Sports Studios, we will see you next week.
What?
If you like Crime and Sports, you can listen early and ad-free now by joining Wondery Plus in the Wondery app or on Apple Podcasts. Prime members can listen early and ad-free on Amazon Music. Before you go, tell us about yourself by filling out a short survey at Wondery.com/survey.